Thank you for joining us on Hoops Hidden Gems podcast. I'm your host, David Jones. We want to thank you guys for joining us for episode number 34. As usual, I can't thank you guys enough for coming on, checking us out on Monday nights. It's been, matter of fact, this is our year anniversary this month. So it's been a year of doing this together. And actually, this show is, man, I couldn't ask for four better coaches that we have coming on tonight. We have the incredible Coach Simon White from Pace Academy here in Atlanta. How you doing today?
I'm doing well, man. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, man, thank you, man. And, like I said, it's an honor to have you on. And, I was fortunate enough to see you this afternoon to check out and practice. And, man, I mean, you run your workouts like a college program, man. That's one I see. I've been to probably about 13 or 14 workouts so far, and you can tell the coaches that are upper echelon by the way they run their practices. You're detailed. You got your notes. You're running it. You're running the shot clock. Not the shot clock, the time clock to keep you on time with your with your practices. And that lets me know what type of coach you are. And I also know you're a winning coach. And pretty much everybody in Atlanta knows that as well, man. So, I wanted to pick your brain today, man, just more than anything. This is laid back. I don't want you to think I'm grilling you over any hot topics or anything. Before you got the Pace, you were at Miller Grove, and you were very successful at Miller Grove as well, and then you jumped into the college ranks as well. My question to you, as we just get into this, what was it that built that program, starting off with Miller Grove, that just built you to that winning formula, so to speak?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. Before I came to Miller Grove, I was at Carver High School in Atlanta.
Okay.
And at the time when I took the job, it was like the stepchild of the system. They had fallen on hard times as far as basketball and success were. And I took the job. A lot of people turned it down. I thought it was a great opportunity for me to cut my teeth. And so I was able to go there and, revive their basketball program. Had 3 good seasons there. The first year, I think we were 11-18, but we were within 2 games of winning the state championship. Because It took a minute for the guys to kind of get, to mesh and bond and understand what it was that I was trying to do. But by the time they got it together, we were almost unbeatable. And so we finished in the, Elite 8 with a chance to possibly win a state championship. And we only were 11-18. And that kind of set the bar there. And then my last year there, which was 2001, 2002, we lost in the state championship game to Randolph Clay. So we had, in 3 years, took that program from 3 wins up until a state championship game. And so that kind of was, my signature moment, I would say, just to getting started. I had coached middle school before that for 6 years and had some good success there. But on the high school level, I think that's where it started. So when I got to Miller Grove, the difference between being at Miller Grove and Carver was Carver, I inherited the program as it was. Players and all, culture and all, I had to inherit, I kind of had to take it for where it was.
Okay.
And at Miller Grove, it was a brand new school. So when I was offered that job, it was brand new. So I got a chance to build a culture from the ground up.
Okay.
And so I took some of the same principles that, had used at Carver, but now was in a situation where now the principles were being used to start a brand new program. And so when you get that opportunity, which is not very often, you get to start a program from scratch. You get to build it exactly the way you want it. You want the guys who walk through that door to understand what it's about, what the culture is about, what the commitment was about. And we were able to do that. And so it just kind of once we got it going, it was a full head of steam and just kind of went, I always think of, wanting to be successful and working hard to be successful, but you never can imagine something like that happen where we won 7 out of 8 state championships and 6 in a row. And we go to, Dick's national tournament and win the game, be the only public school ever in the history of that tournament to win a game. And just all the players that got signed and were successful, and it was just a magical run, and again, can do it without the players.
Let me ask this before we touch Miller Grove. When you said you had to change the culture, what did you, and again, this is just me thinking out loud, what did you do to instill the change in that culture at Carver?
Well, I mean, they had, like I said, they had fell on hard times as far as basketball went, and they had a lot of. I mean, it wasn't that they were lacking talent; it was just they were lacking, somebody that really cared about the program and somebody that
Yeah.
really cared about them. Once that was established, those kids would jump off a bridge for me. I mean, they were just that. I mean, it was amazing. Just give you a quick example. It's kind of funny, but this was real. Before games, I would like, hey, we got to eat a pregame meal. And I remember one kid saying, "Coach, just give me a honey bun, I'll be straight." And that was their mentality, though. Like, we don't need that. We're gonna go out here and ball for you, so we don't need all that,
Yeah.
And it's just amazing. Those kids were like so happy to be coached and happy to be cared about. It didn't matter how hard I coached them because they knew I cared about them. And I always say, you can love them you can coach them as hard as you love them. If you love them hard, you can definitely coach them hard. And so those guys allowed themselves to be coached, and it was a lot of fun, man. We had a lot of fun with those kids.
Man, and so I learned that. I didn't know you were at Carver. I mean, I remember you vividly from Miller Grove because once you got that train rolling, it was just like you said, it was an incredible run. It was like every year you were in the state, in the state finals and winning. And we all know how tough that is to win in Georgia because there's some really good talent. And the kids you were putting into college, and if I'm not mistaken, that school ended up being a Nike elite school too, right?
Oh yeah, we were Nike elite. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. And from there, I mean, everybody knew about Coach White then because, of course, you were winning. With you winning, that brought a lot of notoriety to you as well. I mean, and honestly, to the city of Atlanta, the state of Georgia as well. Like you said, you were getting those elite tournament invites. You know what I mean? You were getting all of that. And so everybody knew, it was like, man, where's this school in DeKalb? What's going on? Because, as we all know, you have your Gwinnett schools, you have your Cobb County schools that are considered the upper echelons. And again, that's no takeaway from DeKalb because DeKalb you have Coach Archery at Tucker, you have the coach at Columbia that's legendary as well.
Bill McCrary, yeah.
Yes. So, what you were doing over there, like you said, until you got there, and I know it was a new school, it probably wasn't until the third or fourth time you won. I was like, okay, who is this guy? Because you had everything rolling, and then you had kids. I mean, because you had the kid that ended up going to Memphis, if I'm not mistaken. Was it Shaq that went to Memphis?
No, Shaq was at Southwest Cat. That was our rival. So we played them. Him and Tony Parker used to have some epic
Tony
battles.
Parker, yeah, Tony Parker.
Tony Parker went to UCLA, yeah.
Yes, he went to UCLA, yes. And at that time, to be honest, DeKalb was loaded at that time, to be honest.
It was.
Yeah, it was.
It's a far cry from what it used to be. I mean, you could not find an empty gym on a game night anywhere in DeKalb when you had those schools like Columbia and Miller Grove and Southwest DeKalb and MLK. I mean, it was just talent loaded. I mean, you could not find Stevenson. I mean, you could just keep going.
Yes, but see, and that's a whole nother conversation because, like you said, DeKalb's not what it used to be. Well, there's a reason because a lot of those other counties came and start picking those kids off.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And, once that happened, yeah, DeKalb. I mean, don't get me wrong, Tucker and Columbia, because Columbia went to the finals last year.
Right.
But
that's what we played in the championship. Yeah.
Yeah. So Columbia still has a great program. Tucker still has a great program, but it's not like you said before. Like before, when you were there, everybody in DeKalb pretty much had some dogs on their team, so to speak.
Absolutely. I'm telling you.
Yeah. And that's where it was like, yeah, listen, DeKalb is not to be played with. And I guess people start getting a little little smart and said, well, let me get some of these kids to get them out of the cab.
The suburbs.
Yeah, and got them to the suburbs. But, man, I thought it was amazing what you did. But even past that, for me, like when I pay attention to coaches like yourself, not only is you're winning, but the biggest thing for me is you're getting those kids in school. That's the biggest thing for me. And you had a high success rate with getting kids in D1s, D2s, and you had a couple JUCOs, right?
Yeah, I had a couple JUCOs. Yeah, I've had them at all different levels, and that's the thing, man. Everybody has a level if they, when they put themselves in a position. Everybody has, and everybody's level is not going to be the same, But
absolutely,
those kids that went to JUCO were just as excited for those kids who went to a Power 5. So it's just the opportunity to be able to continue to play the game that they love. And so my part of that is just to be a bridge, and help them get to that point.
I couldn't agree with you more because, unfortunately, and I hate to say this, but you're around the culture as well. There's some coaches that just don't care like you do. And, of course, I would never name any names, but, your passion for this to make sure that outside the gym, these guys are taken care of. Like, you blew my mind today when you were like, hey, we're getting ready to leave and go do community service. What? I was like, okay. That was something different. But it was like, when I got in the car, I was like, man, I said, there's a reason why this guy is on another level. I was like, it just blew my mind. And I was like, gosh, he's doing so much more for these kids than just X's and O's. And, because at the end of the day, you could say, well, I did my job. I'm winning. I'm getting kids in college, and that's it. But no, you're doing so much more than that. And to be honest, that's why everybody thinks so highly of you, to be honest with you. Before I even got a chance to shake your hand and meet you, people raved about you. And I was like, one of these days I'll meet this guy, one of these days. And, just the fact that, you're a genuine guy and, you talk to anybody, if you're talking to me, that means you're talking to anybody, and, and you're also a student of the game because when I looked, I was like, okay, yeah, you can follow me. You were like, oh yeah, I'm already following your page. I was like, oh, okay. So, everything that's going on, outside of PACE as well. You know what's going on in the college world, what's going on in high school. And, I can rave about you for hours, but the other thing I want to talk about, man, I'm so excited for April, is how did you get your start in USA basketball?
Man, it's so interesting, man. A lot of people ask me that, and I just tell them the story because it's truly a story. But I used to speak at Nike coaches clinics all the time. They had asked me to start speaking, so I was speaking. I can remember speaking back in 2013 in Chicago, and Don Showalter, who is he is USA basketball. When you look at it and look at all the success he's had and all the guys he's had a chance to work with. But he was speaking at the same clinic. And so the guy who ran the clinic, Ed Janka, had me, Don, and a few others for dinner that night after we got through speaking. And so Don asked me, we were talking about flight times the next day because it was a Saturday and we were talking about everybody, leaving on Sunday and what time your flight leaving. All. So my flight time and his flight time was kind of similar. And so he asked me, could he catch a ride? Because I had rented a car and I think he just taxied in or what have you. And so he asked me, could I give him a ride? And I was like, sure, I'll give you a ride to the airport. We were leaving at the same time. And so we were in the car and I said, hey, man, I just want to kind of get an idea. Because Tony Parker had played for him in the USA back in 2008, 2009. So I said, how did you get involved with USA basketball? And I was just asking like innocently, not even in a way that I was trying to be, like taking advantage of the situation. I just asked him. And he said, yeah, we just kind of like, we look for guys that, could represent the country and do these different things. And left it at that. I didn't ask him no more. Say, okay. So I get a call. Actually, that following year, 2014, we worked at LeBron camp out in Vegas. And we got a chance to touch base and work together then. And I can remember Tate Locks. I don't know if you know that is an older guy, used to be coaching a long time. He came over
Yes.
to the table and he told Showalter, he looked at him in the eye and said, "You need this guy on USA." He pointed at me and I was like,
Wow.
whoa. And so later that fall, I get a call from USA, say, "Hey, we would like for you to come out and work the mini camp," which is held in October in Colorado Springs. So I go out and work the mini camp. And I'm just working in camp, coaching, chirping, doing whatever, Little I know I was auditioning because they were watching me the whole weekend. And I can remember when it ended, they gave me a call about 2 weeks later and asked me would I be interested in taking a position on the staff for USA basketball. And I was like, absolutely. And so that following year, that summer, I coached with Don Showalter in 2015. And we went to Argentina and we won the gold medal with the group with Wendell Carter, Gary Trent Jr., Jerry Vanderbilt, just guys who are all NBA tech, Kevin Knox, all these guys who are in the league right now. And we won the gold medal, and that's how it started for me. And then when I left and went to college, of course I couldn't do USA anymore. And so when I came back, they were one of the first ones to say, "Hey, we want you back at USA." And so they got me back on board. And I started off being a court coach because, I had just gotten back into it. But next thing you know, they assigned me to a team, and I was assistant with Mike Jones in 2019. And then this year, me and Mike Jones were scheduled to I was an assistant for him, and we were going to, go play the U16s because we couldn't play it last year, the 17s because of COVID.
Because of COVID.
I get a call from Mike in April. And April or 1st of May, he said, "Hey, I think I'm about to take this job at Virginia Tech. Just letting you know." And so he did that. And next thing you know, it's set up for me to be the head coach. And that's how I became the head coach.
Wow.
Yeah, I know it's a long story, but I just wanted to kind of give you
No. I mean, so basically, it really manifested by you just asking about it, correct?
Yeah, it's right time, right place, man.
Yeah, right time, right place, and a ride to the airport. That's one of those. That's something that that's script material where I bet you if coaches heard your story like that, I'm sure they would love to hear something like that because people always wonder, how do you get these positions? Is it you got to know somebody to know somebody? Now, like you said, you did have somebody to speak on your behalf to say, "Hey, we need this guy." So I'm sure that that weighed heavily.
That was just I think that was more or less confirmation for them and what I tell guys too, you never know who's watching. So that's the key part to it because apparently they had already maybe they kind of knew they might didn't say it, but they they kind of had eyes on me, I feel like, and they kind of knew who I was and what I was about because we were having a lot of success at the time, and I think we were on state championship 5 at that point. So our name was kind of a household name in the high school basketball world, and so you just never know. And I tell guys all the time, man, you just never know who's watching.
And yeah, I mean that goes for you as well as the players. I mean that's something, like you said, that's something to harp on because you never know if somebody's watching on court 12 or somebody's watching how you interact with the coach on the bench. We always preach stuff like that. But man, what we haven't talked about is, I can almost do an hour show with you by myself. Yeah. But with Pace, I mean, you didn't skip a beat when you came back to high school and you got with Pace. You're winning, and so now my question becomes: it lets me know that you can coach, but it also lets me know that you have an eye for a certain kid that fits your program. Is that correct?
Yeah, the ones who want to be there and work hard and commit and it don't hurt their talent. I think that's anybody.
Sure. So when you say to work hard in your mind, because like I said, this is Coach White, what are you looking for when you say you work hard? Are they outside of attitude? We know attitude has to be good. Of course you prefer somebody that's skilled, but you're a player development guy, so you can work on that as well. But what are those intangibles that are a must-have?
I think it's a mindset of wanting to be the best possible version of yourself. Like if you have that mindset, that means the commitment will be there, the effort will be there. Because a lot of guys talk about that stuff, but they're not really about it. We talk
Yeah,
about don't talk about it, be about it.
yeah,
And you catch that a lot, especially at this age, because again, they watch stuff on TV, or they watch, guys they know that they're a little bit older than them, and they just kind of see it. But when it comes to actually digging in and putting the work in, that's where you kind of, rubber meets the road, and you kind of find out what's what. And I think, again, when you say hard work, it doesn't mean, you know, you're just in the gym 24/7. I think it's a mindset. I think it's
okay,
more of a mindset what hard work is. You got to get in the gym. There's no doubt. But what are you
mhm,
doing in the gym? Like you can be in the gym 24/7, but if you're not working, or if you're not working on the right things, you were just in the gym to me. And so I think again that comes again with the commitment to being the best version of yourself. And you know, I've had a chance to coach some really, really good players. Don't get it twisted. I've had a chance to coach guys, at Miller Grove, and even at Carver, and even at Georgia State, and even at now at Pace. But the one thing that those guys, when I say they're great players, that stands out is they're my hardest workers. And I
yeah,
think that's what validates you as being great. Your best player, if he's your hardest worker, you're gonna always have a chance to win. Matt Cleveland last year,
yeah.
hard worker, man. First one on the, when we have practice, he's the first one out of the locker room, and you hear the ball bouncing, and Matt's already ready to go. Madison Durr, same way. These guys, again, they didn't just stumble onto success. Success kind of stumbled onto them.
They
Uh,
work for it.
they worked for it. Yeah.
Man, I so for this year's team, tell me about this year's team. Some of the guys you got this year. I saw them, but tell me about your core players. And the guys that are the glue guys as well, because I think they need to be mentioned as well.
Yeah. I mean, we're a younger version of ourselves. We lost 6 seniors. But, I keep saying this, and I'll keep saying it. We're younger, but we are talented, in
Mhm.
with that youth. And so with that being said, with youth, like anything, you just got to wait for them to grow up. And once they grow up,
Yeah,
it's a wrap. And so that's how we feel about these guys. But, it starts and ends with our best player, and that's Josh Reid, who's
yeah,
been a 4-year guy. He came in with me when I came to Pace. And so he's an inaugural class of me coming to Pace, and it's just been great to coach him over for you and watch him just grow and develop and just get better and better. And he bought into what it was that I was saying early, and then what the coaching staff was saying early, and it's paid off for him in multitudes, And so uh, he just, I think I think he arguably is the best player in 22 in Georgia. And you're gonna have to, get me off of that, but I just feel like it is. I think when it comes down to what he can do at that size, it's just something special. And I
he
think,
just committed too, right?
yeah, he committed to Cincinnati.
Okay,
So looking forward to watching him on the next level, and possibly on the next level after that, because his game fits a pro game. Being able to shoot the basketball is a big, big commodity in the game right now. And so him being able to stretch the floor, but not only do that, but can guard guys and can put it on the floor. He just does some things that, again, with that left hand, man, it's just something different about him. It starts with him, and then we got other seniors, and like I say, they're role players. Matt Aronson, who's been 3-year Letterman, Buck Hall. These guys have the experience. They got 2 state championships under their belt, so we're leaning on those guys to let that experience show.
yeah,
And then we got the young crew. I mean, you got L.J. Moore, who's a returning sophomore, played as a freshman with varsity for played 30 games as a freshman on varsity. So he had a boatload of experience, and you can tell the way he's playing that it's paying off. And then you got Kyle Green, who's new to us from South Carolina. Just a phenomenal point guard. I just think he has the size, he has the length, he's smart, he knows how to play the game, and game comes very, very easy for him. And then we got a freshman, Bryson Tiller, who is, he's got a chance to be pretty special at 6'8".
Yeah.
And he can shoot the basketball. He can do a lot of different things at that size, and so we're looking forward to him. And then we got a trio of we got a couple of freshmen that we're really excited about. Eric Chatfield Jr., who's Andre Chatfield's little brother, who played at Norcross and went on to play at Harvard. He's really good. And then Jackson Ferry, who's Danny Ferry's son, he can stroke it.
Oh,
And
wow.
he can do a lot of things. He's smart as well. And then, we got a couple guys off the football field that have not joined us yet, and they'll be joining us when the football season concludes. But they're really good too. Kendall Evans, 6'4" kid that can really stroke it and just bring another level of athleticism to the team. And then Davis Rice, who's just a fierce competitor, will do whatever you ask him to do. Will guard whoever, care if they're 7 foot or if they, and those guys along with Ben Leach, who's another junior who's like 6'6". These guys they mesh well together. And I think, again, a lot of people look at us and they say they look at a 2A school, but I think this is a 7A team if you had to put it together on paper.
Well, and you just touched something I wanted to ask as well. So your non-conference schedule, people need to understand you don't just play 2A teams. You go out there and play some of the big boys as well.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. We got McEachern, Norcross, East Coweta. We got a lot of teams on our schedule. We're going out of state playing in Hoop Hall West.
Oh, you're on the Hoop Hall. Oh, you're on the West. Okay, you're going to West.
Yeah, we're going to Hoop Hall West. We're going to fly into the Hoop. We just feel like this is how you get better, and this is how you test your guys, and this is what serves you well when you get ready to go in the postseason. Because if you play a schedule like that, more than likely you've played the toughest team you're going to play before you even get to the playoffs. And
you're right.
Now you just got to go out there and try to take care of your business. That's been my philosophy from day one, not just here, but at Miller Grove as well.
Well, see, then what you're saying correlates because that means you're battle tested by the time regions come. You're battle tested because you played some of the toughest, like you said, some of those guys in Hoop Hall West, flying to the hoop. Norcross, East Coweta got a killer team too with Sammy Moss and them as well. So yeah, you're going to be stretched to the limit with those guys. Whether you come up with a victory or not, when it comes time for region. And that's no disrespect to your region, you're not going to have those type of teams that are coming at you. Now, listen, when it's time to play Columbia, you're going to have to be ready, as you already know.
Absolutely.
But, man, I mean, that's a great philosophy. But, I mean, you're blessed to be able to, Hoop Hall West, flying to the hoop. Those are some great tournaments. You all traveling like a college team almost.
Hey, man, just trying to get these kids a great experience. At the end of the day, that's what it's about. Some of these kids, they might not never play basketball again after they get through playing at pace, but they'll have something to hold on to, whether it's a state championship ring or whether it's just an experience of being able to play the math or somebody like that.
Yeah. You see Coach White was saying you had a guard named Tudor.
Tudor, man, one of the best point guards I ever coached.
Okay. I mean, I got one last question for you, man. So, and in closing out for this, I know you teach principles and you have a college style practice, but at the end of the day, when you're signing off on college coaches to come recruit your players, what do you preach to them that they need to do that correlates with playing in college?
To the players?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, attention to detail is probably the first thing, because if you know what you're doing, you got a better chance of playing. And then, play hard, because that's a skill in itself.
Yes, it is.
If you play hard, it's just something about it that just, I don't care who you play for, I don't care what school, what coach, every coach that's serious about winning and competing love guys that play hard. They don't, we want you to be able to shoot, and we want you to be able to do some things, but playing hard is an intangible that sometimes you can't teach as a coach. And so if you got guys that can do that, you win with guys like that. and that's the deal. You want I want all our players, like right now, Matt Cleveland's at Florida State. I got a call from assistant coach the other day, CY, and he was just like, they were expecting the curve to be much greater for him, but it has not been. And I the one question I asked after he told me about how he was doing that, I said, was he ready? He said, Coach, we're taking all pace players from here on out, because if they that ready, then those are the guys. It makes it easier for them, and so that's my goal as a coach, to make sure they're just ready.
Yeah.
And being on a college level, you kind of see what it takes and what you really mean by that, and so I can come back now to high school and transfer that to the guys that actually want to play in college and that put forth the effort to play in college. I can give them that cheat sheet, so to speak.
I was just going to say you got the cheat code because you were on a college staff, so you coming back. They have to trust your word, because your whole system works, and you're putting numerous kids in school. So anybody that wouldn't listen would be out of their mind. It's a proven system. All the way down to you're getting kids in school, you're getting them in Power Fives, D2s, D3s. And let me add, and so because I have another coach coming on that's a D3 high academic, I'm quite sure that especially being at Pace, you're able, I'm sure those D3s are knocking at your door to high academics.
Yeah, those and the Ivies. They really try, and then like the schools like the Northwesterns and
Furman.
They really try to seize the day, and where there's a fit, that those things happen, and so because they won't be able to compete with kids that are high level, and they got these Power 5 offers, so they feel like they come to a place like Pace, they're gonna be ready academically. But now they get a kid that's ready athletically or basketball wise, and that's a win for them. And so they feel like that's their blue chipper if they can get a kid.
Oh, absolutely. I can only imagine Rice, Davidson, Furman, Stanford, Northwestern, the whole Patriot League. Like, they probably got you on speed dial, like what you got.
If they don't, they should. I'll be honest with you, because that's again, we have kids that definitely fit there. Some of them go beyond, like Madison Durr right now. William and Mary is all over him. He's at Hargrave right now.
Yeah, he's at Hargrave.
Yeah, and so like they get it. Like we gotta try to get this kid, because this kid can not only do the work academically, but he brings something that we don't have basketball wise.
Yeah, and that right there, that's a cheat code in itself. With you being at Pace and that type of rigorous school it is, like, you're going to have those UAA schools. You're going to have those high academic D1s. You're going to have somebody like Embry Riddle down in Florida.
Absolutely, yeah.
Hitting your phone up like, hey, what you got, coach? And, sometimes, like you said, it's a fit a lot of times, and you're going to be able to give almost all your kids on that team some type of chance to go to a high academic institution. And I'm not saying those are the only chances they have, but we all know how hard it is to get into some of those schools, man. We had a guy last year from Cherokee. I think it was Cherokee. Umar Reid. They offered him at MIT. They offered him, but they offered him and said it was offer pending. Well, he had a 4.5 and a 33, and they still didn't take him. He didn't get accepted.
Wow.
Yeah, he still didn't get accepted. And when the coach called me and said, Dave, I'm sorry. And I'm looking at my phone like, what? And he was like, listen, here at MIT, you playing basketball, you don't get any preference. It's if you get accepted, we'll take him. Don't get me wrong. He ended up at a great school. He's at Case Western. So, still a great school. But that
4.5 and a 33, yes.
Listen, blew my mind. When he called me and texted me with that, I was like, you can't be serious. I was like, how much better does it get? He said, you know what? He said, this is MIT. We get some of the best students in the world.
Wow.
Listen, that's how I was. And, definitely shout out to Umar, up at Case Western, because that's an awesome school in itself too. But
Right.
I was so excited when he got the offer. And in the same sentence, Coach White, like when they said, he didn't get accepted, I'm like, what? That's insanity. I mean, now we're almost talking kids of PACE status. That's like somebody going to PACE and not getting in, and they have those type of grades, AP. It was nothing like he checked every box. And I was like, oh my gosh. Exactly.
Amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm glad, he didn't drop his head. And fortunately, he had a number of, schools, academic schools after him. So it wasn't the end of the world. But even that type of adversity, you just never know, man. You never know. Nothing is guaranteed.
That was, wow. I'm feeling
yeah, man, definitely. Before I let you go, what was the kid's name? Altareek Gilbert.
Yes, sir.
Tell me about him.
Oh man, one of the best kids I ever coached. I mean, bar none. I mean, this kid was in between the lines, he was like a pit bull. I mean, and when you get outside the lines, he's just a phenomenal kid, and everybody loved him. All his teammates, they loved him. He knew how to talk to his teammates. He knew how to make them feel bigger than what they probably were. And I coaching a kid like that, it just gives you the appreciation factor, because he wasn't caught up in a recruiting process. He wasn't, looking for the highlights and all. I mean, he just went out there, and it was like a job. He went out there and went to work every day, and just a phenomenal kid. I love him a lot because, again, I've been knowing that kid since he was in the 7th grade, and I just happened to see him while I was watching another kid that was coming to Miller Grove, and they were on the same team, and I just saw him, and I was like, man, this kid has got something. He got the it factor, but he was just in the 7th grade.
Yeah.
So man, just got start a relationship with him, and man, just ain't coached a lot of them like that. That one he cut from a different cloth, man. Yeah, I'll say it, and I don't have no qualms about it. I've coached a lot of great players. But he right there is, probably one of the best ones I've ever coached, just because of the fact he just made different, man.
Yeah, one of those special ones, that don't come
You
around.
don't get them all. You don't get them like that every time you turn around. You just don't. I mean,
definitely.
You just don't. I've been around long enough. Those come every once in a while. When they do, you better enjoy it.
Absolutely, man. Coach White, like I said, man, I could talk to you for the next hour, man. Thank you so much for coming on, man. And man, I can't wait to see you down in New Orleans, when you're doing your thing down there with USA, man. Trust me, I'll be front and center. You just soaking up knowledge, because that's what I was doing today, man. Just I was like, oh man, I'm using that for AAU. Some of the stuff you was doing today, and I have no shame in saying it. I was like, oh
man, I stole it from somebody, so you ain't hey, we all. This is probably, we all stealing stuff, man.
Hey,
let nobody tell you different.
Yes, definitely. And man, man, it was an honor to have you on here, man. And please, let's not this be your last time coming on the show, man. Definitely.
No doubt, man. Anytime, Dave.
Hey, man, I appreciate it, man. And we'll be talking soon. Make sure you give me a schedule, man. I'm going to definitely pull up to a couple games, man.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. Absolutely.
All right, Coach White. You take care, man. It was a pleasure, man.
Okay, Chief. Take care. Thanks for having me, man.
All right. Thank you.
Keep up the great work.
I appreciate it, man. Hey, Coach White, a legend in this game in Atlanta and nationally. I mean, people know Coach White. It was an honor for me just to go to practice today and just watch some of the stuff he's running, because in my mind, I was like, oh, yeah, we're going to do some of this, because you can see how it translates into development. And I was like, oh, I have, like I told him, I said, I have no shame in saying, hey, I'm taking that. I like that. As we move on to the show, because like I said, I could talk about him all night. We have an awesome JUCO coach on the women's side coming up now. She's at Kilgore College. This is the head coach, Coach Adelise Barrera. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Well, for people that don't know about Kilgore, you guys are in one of the best regions for JUCO and women's basketball. So people need to understand you are in the gauntlet in that region right there. So you guys usually put out at least 2 or 3 teams that go to the tournament, right?
That is correct. Probably 3 around that number every single year. Yes, absolutely. Definitely toughest region in the country. Yes, absolutely.
Listen, because Trinity Valley went to the championship last year, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were the runner-up. And
yeah, they
every
were the
year they're
runner-up.
consistently in the at least Final Four. Yes, every single year.
That's crazy. So let me ask you, as we just get into this as well, as we get into this, because I just had to laugh at that as well, because that means you have to recruit something vicious to stay competitive.
Mm-hmm.
So are you grabbing like the drop downs, or what's your philosophy when you're recruiting now?
Well, I have a lot of experience with Region 14.
Okay.
I was a JUCO player myself, and playing and understanding just junior college basketball in general. And remember that the championships, the national championships that were won from Evelyn Blaylock here, at Kilgore College some time ago, that's deep rooted history. And I think after knowing that and recruiting from that, I've been at the Division I and Division II level also, and I always make it some way back to Region 14. And I think once you know that and you study it, you kind of get the feel of, okay, this is what we need to produce. As far as the recruiting goes, I think it's a little bit more, I think it's deeper than the competition. We're looking for that grit, that internal strength, that player that separates themselves from everybody else, but is not afraid of the competition, not just once or twice a month, but every single night. And finding those players is really what separates us. And that's why we're able to snag a win every now and then against Trinity Valley, TJC, Blinn, or whoever it may be.
Yeah, man. And like I said, it's not just Trinity Valley, like it's the rest of that conference that's tough as well. And to be quite honest, that's why you have 3, on average 3 teams in the tournament, because like Coach White said earlier, you guys are battle tested when it comes to that. I mean, you guys are beating each other up, and that's just, it is what it is. But the other thing, I want people to understand, on average, how many kids do you send to 4-year schools?
Well, 100%, 100% graduation rate and 100% transfer rate.
Wait. Every kid on your team is going to a 4-year school. And again,
Yes.
I don't care about the level. They're going D1, D2, D3, or NAI.
Yes, we're an academic All-American team. We have academic All-American individuals. A lot of our players get a lot of the D1 looks. We have several that go to the Division II, Division III for academic scholarships as well, and NAIA. I don't exclude any levels. I'm here to create opportunities for our young people, and this is why the standard is very high. This is why a lot of people don't want to come to Kilgore, and on the flip side, why a lot of young women do, because the standard is very high. I run it like it's a university, and the 100% is the 100%, and it's going to stay that way because that is the standard.
Listen, that's impressive. And so you're saying that's not just 1 year. Every year
I've been a head coach. Yes. Everyone is going to walk away with a piece of paper, that associate's degree. I have transfers that come in that walk away with a piece of paper. Also, their progress towards degree, this and then some. But it's a challenge. It's not easy. We have a lot of players that come in behind, some that are ahead. But no, we really, really push it over here in the classroom. And again, that's dealing with the whole young person. We're trying to produce women of honor. We're trying to stand on our own 2 feet. And parts of their futures are really centered on their academic career. And if they are going to be recruited by umpteen universities, every single time they ask for a transcript.
Yes,
and I'm sorry, if you are really trying to separate yourself, everyone has a skill set, right? Okay, cool. Well, what can they, what else separates you? And this is where the character comes in, the integrity, the academic piece. How are you in the community? What is your servant leadership like? I mean, these are the things that really matter, and that's why a lot of coaches always come to our gym.
Mhm. Okay, and there's two things I want to go in two different directions. We'll start with the
Okay.
first one. Okay, so at Kilgore, what type of associates can you get at Kilgore? I'm sure there's many. Like, what on average? What are your team? What are they majoring in?
What are they majoring in? Is that what you said at
Mhm.
the end of that?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, I've got. I think it's all over. We've got a lot of people that want to be in the medical field, business. We've got a couple that are criminal justice. We've got. I mean, I want to say you name it, we've got it. We've got a lot of students that come to us that want to be, educators, and
Mhm.
I would say it's pretty even. But we get a lot of students that really want to pursue something greater than a bachelor's degree.
Okay.
Mhm.
So okay, and staying on this path that where we're going right now, for Kilgore, um, most of the credits are transferable to four-year schools, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So give me a typical day for a student athlete at Kilgore. Is it 6 a.m. practices? What's your deal?
Okay. No, not really too many 6 a.m.s. If it's an individual or
Okay.
open gym, we encourage the players to come before. See, we're on 8-week classes and we go Monday
Okay.
through Thursday. We don't have class on Fridays. And so this
Okay.
helps our athletes get a little bit more time in the gym.
Yeah.
A typical day, rise and shine, make your bed. After you make your bed, we get on over to breakfast, eat something, kind of get that nutrition going. And then we have anything from class to our treatment and rehab, or they flip it. There may be an individual or some type of open gym in there. The key here is waking them up and keeping them out of the dorms until about 11:30 or noon. And then practice is usually in the afternoon when there are no classes. Everyone's done with that. And then we always, transition to weights or some type of conditioning. And then we hit up study hall, and then we're looking at dinner. And right after dinner, it could be, if someone doesn't finish their study hall, we always get that in. That's probably the most important thing, other than making their bed every single day, is the study hall, because we try to teach them to get ahead in the classroom and to put them, in a position to get that 3.8, 4.0, and stay as high as they can with their GPA. And then that's not really the end of the day. Sometimes we have our film sessions, group, individual. And I really think a typical day looks like a normal day for somebody who attends any university as well. Again, having had that experience, I know what that entails and what that consists of. But an average day, pretty much consumed by the opportunity. I wouldn't say just basketball, because we do focus on other areas, of their
Okay.
lives. But yes, eat, sleep, and breathe, something about this opportunity. Always
Maggie,
given, never taken away.
now let me ask you this, because you just said something that I want to go back and touch on.
Okay.
You said they have to make their beds. Was that a figure of
Um,
speech, or were you serious about that?
No, I'm serious. There's a
Okay.
correlation with a lot of our young players. There's no order, there's no structure, there's no discipline, and so we encourage them. Now, I don't go around and check everybody's bed. Don't think I do that. But we
Okay.
have accountability partners, and
Okay.
we're always checking in on each other. And it turns into a great system, and it translates to wins, on and off the court. But the discipline is really what is key here, and that starts with making their bed. A lot of our young people come from environments where they may not have ever had a bed. So if we do and we're
Yeah.
awarded, we get that opportunity, let's make sure we take care of it. And there's a lot of lessons behind that. It's not just Coach Lee said to do it, so that's what we're going to do. There's a lot of teaching that comes behind that.
That's impressive. You're the first person on the show that is even brought, and I'm not saying nobody's ever done it, but just to talk about that, I mean, as a parent, that would be a point for me. I'd be like, oh, points for her on that one. I like that,
Yeah.
and because like you said, it's accountability. And
Mhm.
if I'm, as a parent saying, hey, I'm putting my child in your hands, that at least makes me feel a lot better. And it's not just
Mhm.
about basketball, and it's a lot more
Mhm.
than that. I mean, like I said,
Yep.
it's impressive you have the 100% placement rate. And
Mhm.
my gosh, well, let me ask this. I need to ask this now because have you turned any pros out? Jeez.
Right now, I think one, I don't know, two, currently maybe two or three that are probably still active. One that
Wait. You said
position.
currently. You said
Well, yeah.
currently.
So I've been at all levels. Remember this too, and my
Okay.
training is not just because a player finishes with me doesn't mean their training is over with me. But we've had I think three currently playing overseas, if I'm not
Okay.
mistaken. Now, give or take because COVID and
Sure.
postponing season stuff. But right now, since this is year 4 for me here, actually at Kilgore, and I think some of my first year kids, probably by next year, will also a couple of them may turn pro as well and
Okay.
try to get overseas.
So let me ask this because this touches on that. What's your
Okay.
experience outside of Kilgore? Where have you coached at?
Okay. Well, I'll take it way back. When I graduated from college in 2009 from UAM, I started my coaching career. I've been at Eastern New Mexico, and that's Division II. And
Yes.
then I've been at Howard College and
Yes.
under
Another
Earl Biddle.
JUCO. Yes.
Yep, JUCO. You see where I'm going with this. And then kind of climbed the ladder and went from Howard to Clarendon College as a head coach. I think I was 27-ish,
That's
around there.
another
And
JUCO.
yes, JUCO, but JUCO where it's not everything's handed to you. You kind of have to figure it out.
Okay.
You turn the breadcrumbs into a feast, that type of opportunity. And
Okay.
after that opportunity, went to Texas State as a recruiting coordinator in the Sun Belt Conference. And then from Texas State, came over here to Kilgore College as the head coach again.
Okay. Man, so you definitely put in the work for that. No question.
And then some.
I hear that. So again, I need to ask this as well. So you just
Okay.
said, obviously, you're big on player development, right?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Okay. So I had two questions on that. So
Okay.
your player development, I know that's outside of practice. So do you have like an individual plan for each player for player development, or is it they need to come to you and say, hey, coach, I want to work on this?
Okay. There's two pieces to that. I always try to break down everyone's game. Everyone comes out of high school or transfer, but I have a vision, but the players have to be aligned with me at some point. I can't just say, this is what I want you to do and expect you to do it. There's a break in communication a lot of times as what is expected versus, sometimes it's delusion on their end, as to what they can actually do and accomplish until you show them the ropes. And so, yes, actual individual plans, like I'll give you an example for our point guards. They're not doing the same thing as a wing or a person, one of our players who plays like a guard forward position. Their workouts, no, absolutely not. Just as the center's workout is not going to be the
Sure.
same. But as
Definitely.
far as the breakdown, we're talking breakdown, the hands, the feet, the eyes, the movement, lateral movement, verticality. I mean, we're talking breakdown to let them know realistically, this is where you are. This is where we think you can be in a month or two. This is where you can be by the time you leave Kilgore College. And this is where the scholarships come in. A lot
Yeah.
of coaches have already been to our gym. Power fives, mid-major, low major, all kinds of coaches everywhere from everywhere in the country. And all of them say is, I cannot wait to see your players a month or two from now. Well, me either, because I've been waiting for them to come along. So, I mean, we're on the clock now, don't you think? I mean, we're trying to speed this up a little bit, but this is where the discipline comes in. And you mentioned the bed. If they can follow a couple of those tasks per day, and you challenge them with an individual workout, sometimes they look at me like I'm crazy, and I'm like, yes, I'm the good crazy. Thank you for that. But if you can initiate and you can accomplish this and you develop those fundamentals and those habits, good habits, not bad ones, your player development starts to increase. And then how do you know? Well, I always test them. Young people want to see it. They want the results right away. But I tell them, hey, you've got to be patient. So, if we run an individual workout with, our point guards, and we're starting to notice the development, the growth. And we see, okay, let's throw another challenge. Well, we can throw one of our scout players who's 6'4", lengthy, and we can test what we're doing against him. And if they see some, failure, okay. If they see some success, they're starting to feel, okay, I think I'm getting the hang of this. And this is why, we win a lot against ranked opponents and different people, because the training is every day. The training just doesn't happen when it's game night. The training is actually when you start in the morning, when you make your bed.
So let me ask this. So when you're coming up with your player development philosophy for each player, does that include, before we get out on the court, let's watch this film so you can understand what I'm trying to tell you before we actually try and correlate it on the court?
Yes, we have every single year I have different types of learners. I mean, like it's starting from scratch every year, but that's my job. And I try to understand what it is that they see and don't see. And then we try to go out there and execute it. But a lot of them are visual learners, but have to go out and try it without defense, slow motion, or some of them prefer to draw it or watch somebody else do it before them. And I'm okay with whatever they want to do. It's just a matter of getting them all on the same page. But yes, we have a lot of players that have grown and become more of the film watching type. And I appreciate that, because we could talk about WNBA games this season. We could talk about anybody, and it's understood that a lot of people are going to be in that conversation because they respect the game, they're students of the game, and everyone else can just get left out.
So just listening to you talk right now, that lets me know you pretty much eat, sleep, and breathe basketball then.
In a sense, yes. I'm trying to do my best with a little bit of balance, but yes, my intensity and my passion are probably unmatched, I guess, sometimes, but it's I'm not apologizing for it. It's just it's in my upbringing, it's in my veins, but it's a beautiful thing to know your purpose and to know I can serve these players and young women every day, and it doesn't just have to be through the orange basketball.
I'm going to say this, and I hope you're okay with this. I think this is amazing because you never really see, Latino coaches out there. And listen, I'm like, shoot, I'm not saying I'm ignorant, but I'm blown away at your passion on this. I'm like, I just don't know, I don't know how many are out there. I'm not saying there's a bunch. I don't know.
There's
but I was
not.
listening like, wow, okay.
We're coming though. I can tell you right now, we're coming, because I try to mentor some younger, I call them kids. They're not kids, younger adults, and let them know there are opportunities for us in this sport and other sports, but it's up to us to show people our work ethic, which is also
Absolutely.
unmatched. We are very loyal to the T. And it's part of our culture. And if we are able to carry that over and make that impact, someone is going to notice. It may take some time. It took me a long time, for the right people to say, you know what, hey, she can do this. Absolutely. I think I can. I know basketball, but it's the other pieces too that, have to be answered. But I don't think there are a lot of Latinos, that are always welcome to opportunities like this. This is why I'm one of those advocates, and I'll help anyone, advance. And it doesn't just have to be a Latino. It can be anyone that is probably underrepresented as well. But I'm glad you said that. Yeah, say it for the people in the back. We need more of us. Absolutely.
Listen, I will definitely vouch. I mean, just off this 30 minutes, I'm like, wow, okay. And if I was the AD of whatever program, and even take out the AD, if I'm a Division I or Division II or Division III coach, and I haven't been to your facility or to your program yet, just watching this alone, I'm like, at the very least, hey, coach, can you see me some tape of your players? Because if this is translating into what you're teaching, that means they have a winner, and you got 100% placement rate. So you're doing something right.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing something. Now, let me ask the next big question. So do you guys play in any of the showcases for JUCO?
We do. We start out, we used to try to get out to Dave Neely.
Okay.
See, Dave Neely also coached at Clarendon. So, and he knows a lot of people that have been my mentors. So yes, Dave Neely is usually where we start out. And then we try to get to a couple of other places or get somebody to come out to scrimmage us. And it changes every year. I'm up for anything. I'll play anybody, anywhere, anytime. It's not always reciprocated that way, but we try to get as many opportunities to get these kids showcased as possible. Yes.
So do you get out of state to some of the, I know Chicago's another big one. Do you get out of state to any of those?
No, that is probably a wish list
I got
for
you.
me because of
Because
budget.
of funding and budget. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Now, if someone wealthy came along and said, "What is your wish list?" I would say yes. Could you please send us? And
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Listen, man, I have so many more questions, but man, but so much time. Man, listen, I thank you so much for coming on the show. We definitely gotta get you back on the show because I didn't even get a chance to talk philosophy, which what you expect from your kids. I mean, you just took this. I felt like I'm like, you have any questions? No, I don't.
Well, I have one question for you before you let me go.
Sure.
Would you play for me?
Yeah. Are you kidding me? Yeah. and
Okay.
that's and this is a serious moment. If it was my child, that's a better question. Would I have my child play for you? Absolutely.
Right.
And the reason why I say absolutely, you're checking off stuff that outside of basketball you're checking off. And sometimes I ask those questions as feelers questions, but and look at the producer put out there, where do I sign up, coach? And no, in all seriousness, I mean, you took that and ran with it without me having to prod it out of you. So that lets me know, without having to prod it out of you, this is a part of your program and not you selling me. You get what I'm saying? And
it's
so
authenticity. Yes, I understand.
exactly, 100% authenticity. And so when I hear stuff like that, without even having to lead questions into that, and you're like, no, this is what we do this, because I'm big on player development, without you even having to say. When you said that, I was like, wait, hold on, you said a magic word, hold on. And so that lets me know. And the killer part, and as long as it's verified, you said the magic words, 100% placement. Come on, what are we talking? If I said I wouldn't play for you, that means, to be quite honest, I'm about myself, or my child is about self, and it's all about how many points they can put up and not being a team player, because your method is getting kids to college. Now, I'm sure if I come to you and say, Coach, I'm trying to put up 35 a game, that doesn't work in your type of situation, but
Right.
Listening to you, how passionate you are and what you expect of your kids, and you're developing them. Now, Jesus, last question. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Be patient with me. I know I got you in the backstage. Last question. You said you develop kids even after they leave you?
Yes, that's correct. Yes, I think the best part, the most reward in all of this are the lifelong relationships that are
Yes.
developed. But no, I don't leave my kids hanging. Once they're in my corner, I tell them I'm always in your corner. And this is long after they're gone for me. And I can see, I think this is my 12th or 13th year in college coaching. And even before then, I've developed so many connections over the world. And I can say that is probably the biggest blessing in all of this, because I coach them even after. And some of them don't ask for it. And sometimes I just call them randomly, and, they're probably married with 3 kids and whatever. And I'm asking them, are you making your bed? And they'll just die laughing. I'm like, see now, we back to square one. But I do appreciate it. And it's also reciprocated. There are a lot of young people that come through here and surprise me on game day and want to, pour into the young people that I'm now coaching. And I love it. It's this full circle thing, and it's really been a blessing to me.
One quick question. Where is Kilgore in Texas? I don't know where it's at. Where is it at?
Okay. So if you're looking at a flat map of Texas, it's East Texas. So go towards the right side of Dallas, like you're going towards Louisiana, the boot.
Okay. Yes.
Yes. Not too north, like you're going to Oklahoma. Not, the opposite direction towards
so
Arkansas.
Between Dallas and Shreveport.
Yes. Okay. You can hit Kilgore close to I-20. Yeah, and that's where most people associate it with. We just say we're 2 hours from the heart of Dallas, and you'll find it because it's one road coming out to us. So
okay, I got you, Coach. Man, thank you so much. We could have definitely taken this another 25 or 30 minutes.
We sure could have.
I appreciate it, and I'm sure some of the guys that are watching this as well, that are girls coaches, they probably will reach out to you. So with that being said, how can they reach out to you on social media?
Well, they can follow me, message me, let me know how I can assist them, or if they have questions, or if they just want to talk about, recruiting, anything of that nature. I'm an open book. I like I said before, I like to assist people, and create opportunities. So I'm available.
What is your Twitter handle? Because most of them are on
Twitter,
Twitter.
I believe it's at @AddieB_Lees.
Okay. Okay. And for them to email you, because so I have some emailers still.
Okay.
What is your school email address?
School email, alees, so I'll spell it ALEES @kilgore.edu. And that's also listed on our website.
Gotcha. Coach, like I said, we will definitely make up some more time to get you back on the show. Probably be after the season to see how you guys did this year. Because I didn't even get a chance to talk about your roster. But I know next time I want to know where all your girls went when I bring you on next time.
Say less. I'll have the list ready for you.
I appreciate it, Coach. Thank you so much for coming on the short notice as well. I appreciate it. And man, this was a gift for me having you on the show. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much for having me, and thank you for all the work you do for us. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. You have a good one, okay?
And to you. Thank you.
Right.
Bye-bye.
All right. Coach Lees, gosh, knocked it out the park. Definitely knocked it out the park. I mean, any of you parents that have a daughter that is going to JUCO, I would, even if they're not going to JUCO and looking at four-year schools, I would consider that option because, man, that's bigger than basketball right there. That's definitely impressive. When I say she knocked it out the park, by all means, she knocked it out the park. Coming up, our next coach. Man, when I say I am proud of myself for this, and I'm proud because I'll probably only have one or two more UAA coaches after this one right here. So, much to do. And for Atlanta, this is big for us having Coach on as well. We got Coach Jacob Fleegle, the assistant coach from Emory University. How you doing today?
I'm great, Coach. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good, man. So, before we get into this, you've joined the brotherhood because everybody knows I'm from Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And you're from PA too, right?
Yep, I am.
So the producer will know what it is. One of the things I say with pride, all of us from that PA area usually stick together once we find out we're from the same area because we know it's a football-dominated state. But I'm going to say this. What I did learn once I got into this, we have an incredible number of coaches from the state.
Yeah.
I'm still like when I was like, oh man, you from home? Okay. But it's almost like my list is like this now because there's a lot, which is a good thing because I network with all of them. And, we always tend to look out for each other as well, which is another good thing. And man, for you being at Emory and it being a UAA school, I'm just going to get right into it. I mean, for people that don't know, Emory is a very high academic D3 school. They play in the UAA conference, which quite honestly is their conference. If you're talking about from facilities to opportunities to the way they travel, it's better than a lot of D1 schools. Let's just say that.
Sure.
And so, like I was telling you when we were going back and forth, I've had MIT, I've had Brandeis, I've had Washington University, St. Louis on here. So I've had a number of you guys on here. I've had Carnegie Mellon on here as well from back home. And every time I have you guys on here, when I get off, I'm just like, it's the opportunity. Yes, it's the basketball opportunity, but it's what Emory can provide once you graduate. And, that's something we're going to talk about today as well. But before we do, tell us about your experience before you got to Emory. Where have you been?
Yeah, sure. And I think that ties into what you were saying about coaches from PA. interesting thing about Pennsylvania. I think it's, if you look at the list, I think it's got the second most Division III schools in the per state.
Yes.
Maybe next to New York. So there's
Yes.
a ton of opportunities. I mean, my background, I played at Waynesburg University.
Yes, outside of Pittsburgh,
Yeah,
outside of airport.
Yep, just outside, and then stayed on as a grad assistant.
Okay.
The coach that I'd played for, which was great learning experience. Kind of get going, get my master's, kind of learn what being an assistant's all about. And then from there, I went to Carnegie Mellon, worked for Coach Wingen for a year.
Okay.
And that was part of the story of how I ended up at Emory, because that was when I met Coach Zimmerman for the first time, was through being in the UAA at Carnegie Mellon. So I spent a year there. Then I just spent 3 years at Juniata College out in Central PA, just South State College.
Another D3.
Yep, another D3 in Pennsylvania. I spent 2 years as assistant, and then my final year there, I was the associate head coach.
Okay.
And then just this summer, got on staff at Emory, moved down to Atlanta. Also got engaged and got married now about a month ago. So it's been a bit of a whirlwind the last 6 months or so, but it's obviously all been really good, and I couldn't have asked for it to work out any better.
So one of the questions I want to ask, and Emory's good. Now let's start there. Emory, it's not just, hey, we're in the UAA. You guys are a good, traditionally good program in the UAA. When I say that, you guys are winning the UAA and going to the tournament. So you guys have a rich history.
Sure.
One of the things I haven't seen too much, they recruit viciously outside of Georgia. And I was wondering, is that on purpose, or is it just the best kid available?
So it's not on purpose. I mean, our recruiting board this year, we've got a couple of our top guys on the board are Georgia guys, kind of local, with about an hour radius. So it's not intentionally trying to get out of the state or anything like that. It's, being the academics the way they are, you go where the high academic guys are at.
Absolutely.
I think that's just kind of how it works. We have one guy from Georgia on our roster right now. I think that's just kind of how it's worked in the last couple classes, but we're hoping to land a couple this year and kind of stay inside the state a little bit. But
and let me back up when I asked that question. Trust me, you guys recruiting is a totally different animal, because when I was talking to Coach White, who was the first guest on the show, we got a kid that got offered by MIT.
Mm-hmm.
He got the offer, but you guys know this wording. It was offer pending.
Sure.
And I was like, offer pending? It was pending he gets accepted.
Admission, absolutely.
Yeah, and I was like,
well,
I was like, this is probably the slam dunk. The guy had a 4.5 and a 33 on the ACT. And I was like, oh, well, I'm not worried about that. He's going to get in.
Yeah.
And when he called me, it was like, Coach, you didn't get in. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, that's the tough part. Like there are ways that we can get information on guys. We can get pre-reads, we can get likely letters. Like there's ways that we can see where guys stand in the eyes of admissions. But even if a guy gets a likely letter, meaning he's likely to get accepted, it's not guaranteed he's in. He still has to stay on that same track. We always joke, like, as long as you don't fail all your classes or go to prison, like go to jail, like it looks good, but that's the best we can tell you. So, and until, and then you add in the November 1st ED1 deadline, January 1st ED2.
Yes. That was something I learned with MIT as well. I was like, well, he just applies anytime. They were like, no.
There's certain deadlines, and certain deadlines help or hurt a guy. Like it's a bit of a game, and you have to handle each recruit kind of individually. It's not a one size fits all mold.
Well, before we get to basketball, let's talk academics at Emory. Emory is a prestigious university. We all know that. What I want to ask, and it's blown my mind every time I've asked the UAA school this, when you guys get to the point of your juniors doing internships, how does that work? I know you just got there, so you may not have all the stories yet, but like that's almost a guarantee by the time they're a junior, they're getting a really good internship.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and even before that, guys will get them freshman year, sophomore year. And I think the really neat part about this is where they get them. Like You have
Wait,
guys
you
going
said
in.
the freshman year they're getting
Well,
into?
after your freshman year, in that summer, you might stick around in Atlanta and intern somewhere or go to work. So it might not technically be an intern. You might get a job doing something at
Yeah.
like our guys, the doors that get opened up through the Emory education and through the connections and the network that Emory has.
Yes.
Alumni, I think that's really important too. Like Emory looks good on a resume, but the connections that you can make with alumni, with people kind of on campus who you're just rubbing elbows with, right? In Atlanta, you
Yeah.
never know who's walking on campus. So just the connections that you're able to make and get jobs. And, we have guys from New York that'll stay here in the summer and intern, use the facilities, or guys who are from California, but they're going to intern in Boston this summer. The doors that get opened up are pretty special.
Hey, absolutely. I mean, to be quite honest, every UAA school, to me, the biggest thing you guys have over everybody, and you just said it, is that network. That network is incredible.
Yeah.
And now we get to the tough part as well. What is the tuition at Emory?
Yeah.
How much does it cost?
Oh, how much? What is it's 75, 76, and some change. It is a startling number when you look at it. Yeah, it's a start. And some people are like, you say it in a meeting with a recruit saying, well, you got to give them a second to like process. But I think what I've found is a lot of times, most of the times, the guys we're recruiting against WashU. We're recruiting against
So it's not that big of a blow when you walk in the door, and especially if one of them have been in front of you.
Sure.
It's almost expected because, like you said, to be honest, with me having all the rest of them that have been on, those numbers, that's about right.
Yep.
Seven. So, I mean, I know it's high, but, I think it was the coach from Carnegie Mellon that said it best. He was like, yes, it is high, but we don't apologize for it because your return on investment long-term, is going to pay off. And, yes, you guys have scholarships and stuff like that from an academic side that can help, but please believe it's not going to pay for everything. It's just not. I mean, at some point you have to, and I'm sure you guys have seen some kids where you had interest in them and they may have had the grades, but they couldn't pay. So unfortunately, it doesn't work out that way, or they have to consider somewhere that, they're getting a full ride.
Yeah. And we do. We recruit guys pretty regularly that have scholarship offers, and it's, understanding the return on what you're going to get after the fact that helps us to compete with, with schools recruiting wise.
Well, and let me ask this. So what you're saying, that sales pitch, for me, quite honestly, the kid is not going to understand that. It's going to come down to the parent saying, and to be honest, for me being educated to understand after talking to all you guys, the return on investment, yes, I would be like, okay, because also what people don't understand is the UAA puts, even if you have those aspirations of wanting to play overseas, the UAA puts guys overseas. People don't understand that.
Yeah, we've had six of the last 8 years. We've had somebody go overseas from our program. Our other assistants.
Get to the last 8 years?
Our last 8, yeah.
That's better than some D1s and D2s.
Yeah. Our other assistant, Jabari Obeidi, who also got hired this summer as well. He just got back from playing. He went to England, then went to Australia, and COVID shut down his opportunity over there for the time he came back and got on staff here as well. So he's on with us too. And he's an alum, so he's one of those guys. So it's great.
Wow.
He has those connections with our current guys. He can speak to that from a recruiting standpoint. It's so valuable for us.
That's huge right there.
Yeah.
Now, and again, you've almost answered one of my questions. So once my playing career is done at Emory, can I come back and be a grad assistant?
We don't have GA jobs necessarily. We have master's programs, and if you wanted to get in one of those, and Coach Zimmerman will takes care of his guys. So I'm sure if someone would say, I'm coming to Emory to get my master's, can I be an assistant in some capacity? Absolutely.
So you could be an assistant. It's just that you don't have the GA part.
GA position.
Gotcha. Okay. And On average, and I have to ask this as well, on average, what is the starting salary of an Emory graduate?
Cool. Man, I'm not sure I know that number off the top of my head. More than I make as an assistant coach. I can tell you that much. But I think like if you look at the starting salaries just nationwide, most of them from like average starting salary from school, like Ivy League, UAA, NESCAC, and then obviously some other great ones.
Yes.
Like Pomona Pitts, some of the schools out west, like, but certainly like the UAA puts out those top starting salaries.
Oh yeah, and the only reason, one of the reasons I asked that because when we had Carnegie Mellon on the show, they were like, "Yeah, our average salary for our graduates is $94,000."
Yeah. What? I think they're like top 5 in the country in that.
That's crazy. I mean, it's Carnegie Mellon. We both know about it, but man, I mean, Emory's no slouch, and I'm not saying like Emory you're gonna make 62,000. No, it's gonna be what. Okay, if it's not 94, you may make 88 or 90, something to that extent.
Right.
And again, that goes back to that network. It's for me, the thing I love about this show is, of course, meeting you guys and talking basketball, but learning the strategic parts of what you guys offer outside of basketball.
Yeah.
And almost every UAA school, don't get me wrong, it's steep. It's a steep price. But if any parent really looks at the pros and cons, you would have to say, man, I'd have to consider this because this is life-changing for, their kids and their grandkids.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because that network is powerful. It's very powerful.
It's if you can figure it out up front, it can be.
Yeah, but see, and again, I get, the price tag. The price tag is going to scare some folks.
Yeah.
But, if you can bring the alumni to talk to the parents and the kids, that's going to be a game changer. Like I say, you got somebody that's from overseas that's on staff now so they can speak to that. Yeah. And even the guys that aren't fortunate enough to go overseas, it's not like they're on the corner somewhere. No, they're doing very well for themselves as well. Yeah. Because, at Emory, it's one of those situations where, if I want to go to Texas, I'm sure there's some people at Emory that I can reach out to. I want to go to New York or California or wherever. There's going to be Emory alumni that you can reach out to, and they point you in the right direction.
Yeah, I think the unique thing, and Coach Zimmerman's been here for 14 seasons now, and at the last, not last year, but the year before, in 2019, the last alumni game, had 24 of his 27 alums. Of his last 27 came back to be part of the day, see the weekend, watch the games, the dinner, the whole thing, everything that goes with it. So like the guys, the alumni are very involved in the program still, even after they leave. It's still, how can I help the current guys? We have a freshman here who's from Texas. First week he was on campus, we had 2 alums who graduated about 3 years ago. They were in town, came by the office, met with our freshmen. They're all from Texas, all from similar area. And today just talked, similar interest. They start texting now, like, our freshmen can reach out to those guys anytime he needs something. I'm sure they'll connect over the summer when they're all home in Texas. Like, it's just that level of involvement, the pride that goes with wearing an Emory jersey.
So, okay. Now, the reason why I know so much about Emory, even before this, one of my good friends from Pittsburgh that I played with all the way back in the middle school, when we went to high school, we both had the opportunities. I just didn't take advantage of it. He went to Lindsley.
Okay, yeah.
He went to Lindsley, and then he went and played basketball. He's an Emory alum.
Okay.
He went and played basketball at Emory. And matter of fact, he lives in Atlanta still.
Okay. Well, that'd be awesome. I'd love to connect with him at some point.
Oh,
I will, but yeah.
Yeah, I'll make sure you get his name is Tim Finch.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'll make sure you get his information. Right. Real good guy.
Yeah.
And he's from back home, so you're
absolutely.
golden with that one.
Absolutely.
But I remember when Tim first went to Emory, I was scratching my head like, why are you going there? Yeah. And again, 20, 25, 30 years later, I'm like, boy, that was a good move.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. But at that time, I'm like, why? I don't understand. I was like, And again, I will fully admit, I was like, bro, it's D3. What are you doing? You know,
Mhm.
and when you don't know, you don't know. But now, you know, David now would talk to David then and be like, listen, guy, you need to entertain those opportunities.
Sure.
You know, and when you don't know from ignorance because you've never heard of it, you know, the Emory, I mean, you heard of it as a high academic school, but you know, most of us teenagers are thinking basketball and everything else is
Yeah.
secondary.
Yeah.
Now with me having a son at 16, you know, I'm like, man, listen, I'm totally fine with you going D3 or NAI or something to that extent. I said, because now I said their stage is even bigger than it was back then.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's just one of them situations where I look at this like, yeah, I mean, people need to understand and at least consider it. That's my thing, at least consider it.
Absolutely.
Now, am I saying if you got a chance to go to Georgia Tech and you pick Emory, hey, not to say that it couldn't happen. I'm not saying, oh, don't pick Georgia Tech. I'm not saying that. I'm
Right.
saying that it's a great opportunity. And if you're going to look at it long term, it's going to pay just as many dividends once the ball stops bouncing.
Yeah, no question.
That's the biggest thing. But let's get away from that and let's talk about this year's roster.
Sure, absolutely.
What does the roster look like for this year?
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting dynamic. We have a group that is, and this is probably similar to a lot of Division III schools, but we got a group that has a lot of experience returning, and a group now we have essentially half a roster because of COVID that has no experience, no in-game experience. We practiced in the spring in some workouts, but has no in-game experience. So you're trying to figure out how can we take these couple guys who return for a fifth year plus the juniors on it, like the guys who have been here 2-3 years now, and mesh it with more than just 3 or 4 guys like we normally. Now we have like 7 or 8 guys who don't have that experience. So I think that's been the challenge for us as a coaching staff this year is how do you bring half your roster up to speed to get it connected and socially, you know, and interacting with each other. Like how do you get the chemistry going with people who are on such different ends of that college basketball experience. But yeah, I think we really like our group. I think we have some size and some length that that'll be different this year for us than in the past. That we're really excited about. So it'll be interesting. You know, the UAA is so tough.
Oh, yeah.
Every night, if you don't bring it, you know, as a coach, as a player, as a team manager, as whatever. You'll get beat if you're not ready. So we're ready. We're excited for the challenge. We're getting there. We've got some scrimmages this week, and then we're at it next week. So,
are your scrimmages closed or are they open to the public?
The one on Wednesday would be open. I don't know about Saturdays.
You said Wednesday. What time is it on Wednesday?
7.
I may be there for that one.
That's good. Send me a message and we'll.
Oh, definitely. So preseason, where you guys pick preseason?
13th.
13th.
Yeah.
Wait, in the nation or
in the nation? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then first in the UAA. But as Coach Beatty and I were talking about that the one day. He goes, I'm not much for those preseason rankings, but if they're going to have them, shoot, you might as well be in them. So.
So you guys are favored to win it this year.
Yeah. I think it's like I said though, the tough part about the UAA is very few. I know Rochester played a little bit. Carnegie Mellon played a couple games last year, but pretty much across the board, not much happened in the UAA last year basketball. Yeah. So there's a lot of unknown in the league and a lot of kind of guessing who's coming back, who's going where, who left, who's using a fifth year.
Well, Wash U is always going to be traditionally tough as well. So
absolutely.
Coach Jotham does a great job over there. Carnegie Mellon is always you never know what you're going to get.
Yeah, that's a tough one. We talk about that. Coach Zimmerman has had some teams that go up. That's usually the last UAA road trip weekend is to Case Western and Carnegie Mellon, and he's talked about that's a game that's got him in the past and kept him out of the tournament once or twice because of that. And I remember my year at Carnegie Mellon, we were playing Emory. We lost down here by 4 or 6. And then we lost to Emory on a buzzer beater that same weekend. So it is always a game with Carnegie Mellon and Emory. So
definitely. That's why outside of seeing the scrimmage, I'm definitely going to get the schedule from you because my son's high school is 7 or 8 minutes from Emory.
Okay, which high school is it?
Lakeside. Lakeside.
Okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and he trains over there at sports medicine.
Oh, yeah.
Great. So yeah. Now let me say this, just a side note. What you guys do in sports medicine is next level.
Yeah.
Next level.
Yeah, we are fortunate to have some of those resources.
Oh no, that's a cheat code. What you guys have over there, I will speak volumes of what they do over there. They do an amazing job.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Listen, if anybody got a question, call me. Listen, they do an amazing job over there.
Yeah, no question.
And man, there's just so much, with Emory, there's so much that you guys do. And first of all, there's one other thing I need to say.
Sure.
That facility is beautiful.
It is.
Oh my gosh. I would say probably about the first time I went over there was probably about 4 or 5 years ago. There was an AAU tournament, and I was like at Emory, and first thing I said, out of ignorance, is it going to be big enough?
Mm-hmm.
I walked in there and was like, oh man, this is nice. This is really nice. Like, again, facility-wise, it's a D1 facility-wise. Absolutely. I mean, you guys have everything somebody needs over there. You have the academics, you have the facility, you have opportunity. What more can you really ask for right there? And again, I know what everybody say, yeah, but it's $75,000. Yes, it is. But think about it in 10 years from now when that person is making anywhere from 130 to 140, he's going to be set for the rest of his life. Yeah. And, man, I'm just looking at this. Man, I'm definitely impressed with Emory. And, man, I want to advocate for more kids to consider Emory. And,
Sure.
And just whether it be Emory, Oglethorpe, Birmingham Southern, those are all great schools as well. And, they have a great network too.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, sometimes they just overlook Emory. And I'm like, man, they can play. They have some good teams. And I knew that because everybody else spoke highly of Emory, from Coach Jilcom to, coach at Carnegie Mellon. And I was like, oh man, they're pretty good. Okay. And then once I just got lucky and saw that you were the assistant, I was like, oh yeah, let me catch up with him. Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Man, and whatever I can do, man, especially on the high academic side. Let me ask this.
Sure.
Do you guys recruit at the all academic camps?
We did it this past summer because we had so much transition with our staff, with myself being new, with Coach Beatty moving to so we had, but it's definitely, we track all that stuff on Twitter. Everyone they're tweeting out, we're looking into something that we're trying to get to here in the future. Certainly we're kind of fortunate though, with being in Atlanta. A lot of stuff, as you mentioned before, a lot of stuff runs through Atlanta on the circuits and
live periods at every shoot. Yeah. So you guys are at those events. Is that correct?
We do, yeah. We cover events, especially if we know of a recruit, who we've been in contact with or reached out to us. Hey, I've got this GPA, this test score. We're playing at this time. We'd love to, we're heading out to those events, see those guys and evaluate them. I think the interesting part of the high academic recruiting is you can waste a lot of time if you're not careful.
Yes.
Because you can just get caught up on guys who you love, but they can't get in, or whatever the case may be. So you've got to do your homework. I'd say a lot more than some other places. It's different where it's not me saying like other places don't do their homework, or but that's the priority here, is doing your homework on who can I actually recruit, who's a legitimate prospect for us, and how do you evaluate that?
So one of the final questions I have, what do you need academically to get into Emory? Do you need a 3.4, 3.5? And with test scores, it's getting towards test optional to not taking it. Is Emory still requiring to take the test? What do you need to get into Emory?
Sure. Yeah, so this year we are test optional because of COVID. Have not heard if that's going to stay the case moving forward, or if this is going to be the last year of it. That's kind of still up in the air for us in terms of test scores. There is no, and if you ask our admissions office, there is no if you don't have a 3.8, no good. If you don't have a 12 or a 1370 on the SAT, no good. So there's no like hard cutoff for it. It's a combination of your transcript, what classes have you taken is really important. I think
that's what I was going to ask. So AP classes are important, right?
APs, IBs. I think that trips up recruits a lot, and they'll say, "Oh, coach, I got a 3.9. Oh, great, send me your transcript." I look at it, no honors, no APs, no nothing. Like, that's great. Like, you're doing well in school, and congratulations. But like,
we can't get into Emory.
Yeah, we have to have those APs, the IBs, the honors classes, the whatever the case may be. So it's kind of the combination of that transcript that's, again, super important. The test score, we really look for guys who are pushing 1400, 1350 above, pushing 1400 SAT. Again, that's not a hard and fast number. That's just kind of the where our radar goes off. Okay, we're in ballpark here. And then SATs pushing, or ACT, I'm sorry, pushing 30 plus. Yeah. And again, it's not. And I think the hard part is too, it's out of our hands a little bit, because if you get too deep into the weeds here, it gets like, depending on the pool of applicants, will depend on where admissions wants guys, will depend on who can get in. So like, we might get a kid accepted with a 31 this year, and next year he's not getting in with a 31 because the pool of applicants is stronger. So
yeah,
it kind of it's just in flux, and we do our best to just try to max out the academics as high as we can so we don't have those issues.
So you guys are doing offer pending too?
Yeah, and we have to. Yeah, and like I said, really, like, we can get you a likely letter, we can go through the pre-read process, we can do this. That gives us information, but also gives the student athlete information as to whether or not they can expect to be admitted, or if we need you to take some more APs your second semester so we can try a regular decision, or what. It gives us some feedback that we can work with.
Absolutely. Hey man, I thank you for coming on the show, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
For Atlanta to see Emory's face, I think it's great. So people understand, hey, we are at live period. We are at the shoe events. We are at the independent events. I really think that's great, but I'm glad you came on here so people understand, like, hey, for you to be someone that Emory is interested in, you got to have these intangibles for us to look at. One last question. Yeah. When you look at recruits, what is the Emory kid that, when you, in your eyes, when you see somebody out at live period, what do you look for? Yeah, that's a good question. When I got hired, one of the very first questions I asked coaches in the room before I went out, obviously, what are we looking for in this class? What do we need? Give me some guidelines. Here's what I'm looking for while I'm out. And if you've ever seen us play, this will make sense, but we need guys who run. Like, can you run? And I've never I'm like, oh yeah, all college basketball players can run, but it's a different run here. Okay. So we need bigs who can move and take 3 sprint steps and get somewhere. We need wings who can get out wide and run the floor. We need point guards who can push the ball with their head up. So that's kind of where we started, is can you run? Because again, I'm going to leave people who have never watched Emory. I'm going to leave Emory basketball on a cliffhanger for tune into one of our games and you'll see what I mean by that. Can you run? Because that's kind of a staple of what we do. But that's first and foremost. And then from there, it kind of just depends year to year on, what's the roster looking like. We know that we need a point guard in this class, or we know we're set. Sure. We have 2 freshman bigs, so we can look for wings in this class a little more. Obviously, we're going to, if we see a really good post player, we're going to go after him. But kind of the roster makeup kind of determines next steps after that. And that's all obviously outside of the academic. Absolutely. So, there was one more question I wanted to ask you and it slipped my mind. Well, we'll save that one for next time. Well, but let me say this. How can people contact you if they're interested in Emory?
Yeah, absolutely. My email address, and it's on the website, is jfleegl@emory.edu. My last E of my last name gets cut off, unfortunately, but it's J Fleegle without the E @emory.edu. And then Instagram and Twitter is coach_Fleegs, FLEEGZ.
Gotcha.
My Twitter and Instagram. So yeah, feel free to, anyone who's interested, get a hold of me. And if anyone's in Atlanta and wants to stop by practice, we'd love to have you guys. And we have people who come in and watch and check it out.
I'll be there. Trust me. I'll be there.
Come on through. That would be great. That would be great.
Sounds good. Hey, Coach, man, I appreciate it, man. I'm going to be in contact with you.
Perfect.
to get into that whole Emory and seeing how practice looks. And, I look forward so I can understand what type of players you guys are looking for.
We just want guys who can we'll start
Absolutely, man. And I want this to be a yearly thing to have you come on the show, man, to talk about Emory, man. I appreciate you so much for coming on. And, let's go ahead and build this thing up and do what we can for you, man. I appreciate it.
No, I thank you for having me on tonight and for getting in touch. And anytime, I'd love to come back on and talk more hoops.
Appreciate it. Coach Fleegle, you have a good one, man. And I'll be talking to you soon, okay?
Sounds good. We'll see you.
All right, you take care. Coach Fleegle from Emory University. Listen, I'm going to harp on this 100 times over. I even talked to Coach George Washington from Pebblebrook about this. Like, we need to start getting some of these kids to these UAA schools. And so people can understand how much of a life-changing opportunity it is. Our last guest, man, boy, does he have a loaded team this year. And boy, people were on my head for some comments I made, but I'm going to stand by them. I've met him just recently, really good guy. And I've known about him for a while as well, which, to be honest, would made, the show tonight with having Coach Sharman on here. Now we got from Newton High School. We got Coach Charmelane Gibbons. How you doing, bro?
Hey, what's up, man? How are you? Thanks for having us on.
Man, anytime, brother. Man, people been on my head talking about, I think Newton's the best team in the state.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it goes. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion, but it plays out in March, so it's a long time.
Absolutely. And man, I've been to your gym, and what I saw, to be honest, and I'm going to go up to Milton and take a look, and of course, Milton is ranked number 3, but from 1 through 10, I think on paper, you guys have the edge 1 through 10, and that's no knock to Milton. That's no knock to Wheeler. I've had those guys. Well, I've had Wheeler on here, and I've had Pebblebrook on here. I'm sure in due time I'll have Milton on here as well. But from what I saw, I was like, I don't know too many teams that are going to be better than this. What I saw.
Well, you didn't see us practice tonight, so
it was one of those days.
Well, we do have some talent, so I won't sit here and act like we don't have some talented guys. And so sometimes when these guys they get into it and they get to going, it's tough on both sides of it. And so it's actually a good thing. I always tell guys, when are you going to decide that you're going to play with top tier talent when you get to college, or do you want to work on it before? And so when you get in that locker room when there's other talented guys, it's not the first time you've been around some other dudes as you go. And so I think that's been a really good thing for our guys.
Yeah, I mean, man, again, just like Coach White, you had that cheat code as well, man, because you've been a former college coach, man. And one of the things when I go to these practices and I look at what you guys doing, it stands out because it's different, because you're preparing those guys because you know what's needed to get to that next level. And that's not a knock to any high school coach, but when you guys have experienced, I can see it's a difference in practice. You can see it by the stuff you run, the player development stuff you do. It's different. You can tell, like, oh man, he's been around the block with this, and he knows what's needed to get those kids to the next level.
And I've been fortunate. My dad was a college basketball coach as well.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, he's actually in the Georgia Southern Hall of Fame. I would say he's probably the first Black assistant Division I basketball coach in the state of Georgia history. And so we had a lot of conversations growing more about coaching things than it was even about playing. So, I've been around the block a good little bit. And then I did have an opportunity to be a Division I assistant as well, and been a couple of different places. So I do have a good amount of experience. But all the experience in the world helps when you got some guys. That's always the bottom line.
And that you do. That you do. And matter of fact, let's touch on that. Let's talk about that roster that you have this year, which starts with Stephon Castle, which is one of the top 2023 prospects. You have Ja'Kai Newton, who signed recently with Indiana. And I'm going to let you talk about some of the rest of those killers you have. When you were just going down the line, I was like, geez, okay.
Yeah, well, obviously everybody's seen Steph play, and he's got a world of talent. It's his birthday actually today, so
happy birthday, young fella.
he had his birthday today. Obviously Stephon Jakar, headliners, along with Marquavius Brown.
Yes.
Those are the guys that right away everybody jumps to because, according to some of the things, they're top 100 in the country or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But we have some other guys. Obviously Marcus Whitlock has come out and kind of established himself as well as a mid to high major player as he continues his journey.
Mm-hmm.
Down in the interior, a guy that doesn't get a lot of credit for us, who's going to be a really good player for us, is a kid named Mia K. Grant. I think he was out sick when you were there that day, but he's 6'7", he's about 230, but he's really changed his body. And he's coming for it. You can tell he's really improved. And so I think, he's had a number of guys who've checked in and kind of watched. So I think he's going to be in really good shape for us this year. Obviously Daniel Pounds came in this year. Guys have read stuff about him. He's a really good player, really just continuing to work on his game and kind of hone his craft some, but very talented player. And then we got a couple of other guys. Ashton Penniman is going to come off the bench for us this year, and he's going to really surprise people. There haven't been many coaches who've come in the gym and hadn't said, Coach, if guys are looking for small guards, he's going to be a guy that we're going to take a look at because he really can run the team, good leadership, good speed. And I think he's going to really fit in. Grew up a lot last year. Was kind of thrown into the fire. And we got another group of young guys that are 2024 kids.
Man, and I like that young core you got. Man, I like those guys, man. I was like, man, they're going to be good.
Yeah, they are. But I say this though, and you guys have been around basketball for a long time. Newton's always had talent. Maybe outside the Metro, you don't quite get some of the consistent publicity that maybe some of the other programs get, which is fine. But I always tell these guys, y'all ain't the baddest dudes that's walked these hallways before. There's been some bad dudes who's walked in these hallways before. And so, and I think that helps. I think, it's not a crazy around our school because they've had guys before. And so guys can just come in there and go to work. But we do have a good group. I mean, we got 11 guys on our varsity, and I think all 11 of those guys are going to be able to play somewhere when this is all said and done.
And I say this as well. Folks better be glad TJ's at Overtime League.
Yeah, he played great this weekend. He had a great weekend, his opening weekend out overtime. And people don't quite get it maybe sometimes because I got tons of calls like, oh my God, you guys are in position to be one of the best teams in the state, and this kid leaves and goes to overtime. And my job is to help you be the best you can be and put you on the best pathway possible. And maybe that's leaving our program and going to somewhere that there's something that's been an aspiration for you. My job is to help you on your next journey, whenever that journey may occur. It may be as quickly as the overtime thing came, or it may be, the full process and we see them walk across the stage their senior year. But, I try to keep my job simple. Every day they show up, I try to give them something that's going to help them on their next step. And so, yeah, obviously we miss TJ. He's a great part of our team. We still talk to him almost every day. He and the guys are really, really close. And so, we cheered for him. We thought it was a great thing. When a kid gets the opportunity to go do something and chase his dream, who am I to stand in the way as a coach? Like I was the first guy ringing the bell for him. Like, man, it's going to be a great thing for him. And so we're very proud of him and, definitely miss him a lot. But, and it's also aspiration for other guys on our team. I mean, imagine a kid walking out of your locker room and going to overtime. And so now the rest of the guys, man, this can be done. This is a reality. And so it actually helps motivate guys to continue to push themselves. And so it's been a great thing for us.
Well, yes, I absolutely agree with that. But you got Ashton Hagens. I mean, come on. Like, he's still involved with your program. Like, when I tweeted out about you guys, he was out there liking that stuff. I was like, oh man, he's paying attention to y'all program.
Well, obviously I wasn't here when those guys were out, so I wasn't their high school coach. But the one thing that we've tried to do is make sure that even though we've come in and kind of put our spin on the program, that the history of Newton basketball, we don't want to forget that. The Ashton Hagens, obviously JD Notte was just preseason All SEC. Obviously Isaiah Miller's in the G League with the Timberwolves. Yeah. Trey Clark's gonna be one of the best junior college players in the country. Armani Harris is at Kennesaw State. So there's guys, and there's been guys for years, that have come here. So the only thing we try to do as a coaching staff, we came in is like, listen, you guys built this program. We're standing on the things that the guys before us have built, and we're just trying to continue to take that, one step further. So it's great to have those guys, great to have that back, and those guys continue to reach out to our players and talk to them and continue to encourage them because, sometimes it gets a little tough and sometimes I'm probably a little bit hard to deal with. So they need some motivation in the right way.
Got you. Next thing I want to talk about, man, is that schedule. Man, y'all got the gauntlet on that schedule, bro. Man.
Well, I thought we had the gauntlet during COVID last year. This is the thing. We could never leave Atlanta city limits and play some of the best teams in the country, game in and game out. And so I
Yeah.
thought last year, I thought every year I've been here, but especially the last 2 years, with COVID, we did the best we could and ended up every night out. You played some guys who had some dudes. And so,
Yeah.
this year it may draw a little more fanfare because you're doing a little more traveling and maybe the name of the events, but I don't think this year's schedule is too much different from last year's schedule, except you throw in the travel. I mean, you look at the guys we played Sandy Creek last year with Jabari Smith. You had Pebblebrook, who I thought was right there to be a chance to be a state champion. You played Grayson 3 times in the year, so it's nowhere to run in 7A basketball. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to come to Newton, because I think it's a great challenge to be in this classification. Just one of the best classifications across the country.
Well, I mean, and to speak on what you're saying, I'll be in Houston when you guys play Concordia Lutheran. I'll be there. And the funny part about it, so far, 7 or 8 coaches have reached out to me and said they will be there. So understand that game's going to be loaded because of who Newton is and, the fanfare of some of the guys you have. So Houston wants to see what you guys have. So, and they've already confirmed, like, Dave, are you coming here as the tournament directors to get on the list? I was like, oh, I'm already there, guy. I'm already there. And it's funny, so I'll be there for when you guys play Concordia Lutheran, then I'll be there again when Wheeler plays Duncanville. Yeah,
well, I mean, Texas has always had great basketball, so I think it's a great idea by the promoters to get Texas teams and Georgia teams because if you look at it over the last few years, Texas and Georgia playing having some of the best high school basketball across the country, especially public school ball.
Yes,
those teams are really good out in Texas, and obviously Georgia has some really good teams as well. And so we're excited about getting out there. Some of the guys played this summer in Dallas, and so we got a chance to go back out to Houston where people don't quite know, but Houston has some really good high school basketball.
Yes, they do.
That maybe a little bit under the radar because maybe some other cities get a little more love, but no, it's going to be tough. But we're excited about it. We're excited to be an event like that. I think Link Year Prep plays after us. Grayson plays before us. And so just, it'll be a lot of really, really great players in the event. And so hopefully we'll go out there and do what I think our guys are capable of doing and put on a good face for the state of Georgia and then also having a great event.
Absolutely, man. I couldn't agree with you more, but it doesn't stop there, man. Talk more about the rest of your schedule that you got, especially for November and December. Jeez.
Yeah, well, we'll go in and we'll get out of that, and I think we take a couple of days off, and I think we're playing at Norcross and on the radar. Jesse does a great job, and so that'll be a stiff challenge with the guys he has, and then we'll take a couple of days and we'll play in Under Armour's Hard in the Paint.
Yeah,
we'll play Westlake. I think Westlake is preseason number 2 in 6A or something. We played them last year in the game, so they're going to be really good. I think we have. I want to say maybe either Grovetown or possibly McEachern maybe in that second game. So any of those teams, and this is the thing, maybe sometimes you don't quite know the names, but some of these teams in Georgia are really good that may be a little bit under the radar. So if I threw out Grovetown, sometimes people I was like, man, they got a really good team. They got some guys. Then we'll leave there, and I think we got we'll have a local game where we're going to play against Rockdale, one of our county rivals. It's always
county rivals.
It's county rivals. You never can count other teams out. And then I think we got Archer, who's Joel does a great job with Archer. I think they were preseason 6 or 7 or something like that. But the style he plays and the way they play, I try to make the schedule where we're getting a lot of different styles and combinations of teams. I don't want to just see guys that play like us. You want to see some different styles. And so I think Joel does a great job with that.
Okay.
We're having a little event at our place. We're bringing in some of our local teams out of I-20 to try to put a face on basketball out this way because we had some really good players and teams out this way, and maybe it doesn't quite get the love. So we're coming together and doing something locally where we've got most of our local teams playing against teams out of area. So that night we'll play Pinson Valley out of Alabama.
They're actually very good.
Yeah, they are good. They are good. And Coach Barber does a great job with those guys. And so we played them 2 years ago in a tournament, and they beat us over there. They had Kool-Aid, the kid at Alabama now, the defensive back.
Bragging rights?
No, we didn't play in bragging rights. We played in a thing called Dwight Madison over at Carver High School in Montgomery.
Okay.
And so we played them over there. So he and I, continue to stay in touch and got that game together. Just saw the rankings, and Sparkman in 7A in Alabama is number 1, and so we're going over on the 21st to play in a deal in Huntsville. So I'm assuming it'll be packed. And Sparkman's got a really good team. I think we challenged them a little bit in camp this summer at Auburn, and so I think this will be a really good game against them. And we didn't play in a Christmas tournament this year. Just man, we've been, these guys have been rolling, and so to have an opportunity to have a little time at Christmas, because this will probably be the last time in their lives they'll ever be home at Christmas.
That's
and
true.
So we gave them a little time off at Christmas this year. We'll come back out. I think we're playing like Nashville East, maybe New Year's Eve in the Big Shots Classic, and then we'll load up and we're ready to go to the Sugar Bowl Classic at the beginning of January down in New Orleans.
Well, yeah, I'll be there at that too. I'll be there for that.
Yeah,
one.
And that list is a who's who as well.
Yes.
So,
and boys and girls.
Yeah, boys and girls. It's loaded, and so we've been pretty excited about having the opportunity to play in that. And if you can get out of that, then we got the pleasure of still having Grayson and Parkview and Brookwood and all the rest of those guys. 2 times in the month of January, so it doesn't get any easier. So there's no rest for the weary. There's nowhere to run, duck, or hide on our schedule. We want to make it that way. Very rarely does a team have a chance to win the state championship and they're undefeated. Somebody's got you along the way that helps you go through this process. And so the way our schedule's been, if we do go undefeated, then golly, man, we must be really, really good. But
if you're undefeated, you'll be in the top 25.
Yeah, and you're beating some other top 25 teams.
Yeah.
And that part of it is, you put your stuff on like they do. But at the end of the day, the reality of it is, with our schedule, being undefeated is not a reality. But you want to be playing your best basketball going towards the end of the season, and that's what I hope the schedule has been built to help us to be able to do.
You'll be battle tested, as you say. Definitely be battle tested, because some of them teams you're going to be playing early. I'm not trying to be funny when I say this. That first round of regions won't be like some of the teams you're playing in November and December.
Now, well, the first round of region for us is across with Region 2, so that's Pebblebrook, McEachern, East Coweta, Noonan. So
what? Hold
on.
The
first round of state tournament. So if you look at the state tournament, it doesn't get like Georgia 7A. It ain't nowhere to run. Guys are always talking like if you finish second or
wait. You have Pebblebrook or East Coweta in the first round?
Well, depend on how it shakes out, but it's that region. It's the region with McEachern, Pebblebrook, East Coweta. So there's that. In Georgia, there's nowhere to go. There ain't nowhere to run. So guys can try to slot themselves here. There, I'm like, man, just get in the tournament. You got to play well. It don't matter. It doesn't matter. We battled Pebblebrook in the second round last year in the Sweet 16 game. That's, and it's nowhere to go. So,
gosh, you're right, man. I took it as you'd be playing someone out by you, not.
Nah, you get those regions cross matched, and so and. It's just not a lot of place to go. If you're gonna run, duck, and hide, man, you probably need to go to a different classification. There's nowhere to go in this one.
Yeah, you're right about that. But not even then, because 6A is tough this year too. So
Georgia's got great. Georgia got great basketball. Class 1A all the way to Class 7A. So it's all over the place. It just when you start talking about these schools and they got 2,300 kids, 2,500, 3,000 kids, 4,000 kids. You're gonna have good programs. That's just the reality of it is. And so, the way they invest in high school basketball in Georgia and the way these schools, get behind their teams and invest, it makes it difficult. And it's exciting though. For all the work that we have to do, you're making peanuts. So you want to have something to be excited about when you do this stuff. So, having that level of competition is great. And it's fun. It's exciting. It's my 21st season. I'm still super excited about it. So.
Man, let's take it even past that. You know what else I'm looking forward to next season? Well, next summer. I can't wait to see what GHSA team camp is going to look like. Man, can you agree? Last year was amazing. Last year.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I thought it was real good. I think that with the guys spearheading the camp game to be able to get our teams in front of college coaches. Was a great thing. Tons of coaches, then who's who of everybody was there. I think that was a great thing. I think that they're just going to continue to build on it as we move forward. And the exposure. I'm an old school guy, man. I think that exposure comes on both sides of the ledge. I think it comes from the summer basketball, but I also think the confirmation of the type of players that guys are comes from their high schools as well. Because as a high school coach, you see that kid each and every day. So I think both of these things kind of go hand in hand. And so I applaud our Coaches Association for moving forward and putting something out there that also allows high school coaches to be involved with some of the stuff with the coaches in the summer. Because the reality, I've been on the other side of it. It's hard during the season to recruit. That's just the reality of it. It's hard to get out and see guys. And so during the summer, that makes it a lot easier. So having the chance to be involved in the summer, I think just makes guys feel better, if nothing else, as far as being involved with some of the things that's going on with their players.
Man, so let me ask this, and we talked about it at your practice, like with the team you have, and I know the answer, but I want you to say it on air, so some of these coaches that are watching, like, yes, your team is loaded, and it's been brought to my attention sometimes that some coaches on the D2 or the lower level won't even waste their time coming to see you guys because they feel like they can't get any of your players. And I want you to expound on that one.
And you hear that. You hear that, like, why would I go over there? There's nobody. Well, I always say this. First of all, hey, man, I never caught a fish without throwing the lure in the water. So I got to do that first. You never, it's not going to happen by magic. So that's the first thing. But the second thing is sometimes we miss out on guys that are on these teams that may not be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7, maybe 8, 9, or 10. But I'm saying if this kid has been playing against this level of competition, game in, game out, practice in, practice out over the last few years, then he probably has a chance to be a college basketball player at some level. And so you got to work at it a little bit, but sometimes you got to come to practice and like, listen, this kid ain't gonna play very much on Friday night, but I watched him practice and he's pretty good. And he's playing against these other guys who I don't think I can get. Then this kid may be a viable source at a Division II, at an NAIA. I played NAIA basketball, so I'm not, I'm encouraging for those schools because I have guys. Everybody on my team is not a Division I player, but I think they're a college basketball player. Exactly. And so every time I get calls from those guys, I'm like, yeah, man, come on in. Coach, yeah, you don't have anybody we can get? Yes, I do. I mean, yeah, I do. I got 11 guys. I don't think I got 11 Division I players in the gym. I think I got 11 college basketball players. And so you have to encourage those guys to come in and, college coaching is funny, and I'm just being honest about it, man. Sometimes we, as college basketball coaches, we fall in the prey of the stereotype of the old coach talk. You can't go over there, you can't get a player from over there, and so a lot of times, especially at the Division II level, and sometimes at the NIA level, these are younger coaches, and they get caught in the coach talk, and they're like, "Well, I'm not gonna go over there because there's, I've already heard they've got all these Division I guys," and so they don't do it. I'm here to tell you, our doors are open. We got plenty of guys. We can shop at every level you're looking for. It's just a matter of getting those guys in there and then helping them to see, what you're looking at with them, because a lot of times, sometimes they can't quite see it when it's not right in front of them. You have to let them see, like, listen, man, this kid is really good, and he's practicing against this guy who's going to whatever school he wants to across the country. So he's a pretty good player. And it's unfortunate because I think that a lot of guys in good programs, a Milton, a Wheeler, Norcross or Pebblebrook, they've got guys that are their 8th, 9th, and 10th guy who's really good basketball players that would open up for an opportunity to be recruited at that level, and they just don't get it. And people just say, "Oh, well, they got those Division I guys. Those guys aren't going to be interested in us." And I just don't think that's true. And if you see some of the guys who do really well at those levels, they come right in and they get a couple of those guys, and you look up and say, "Golly, I didn't know he's going to be available for a Division II." I think that's what Dip does over at Augusta. I think he does a good job of getting out and finding guys and working. I think Mark at Georgia College does the same thing.
Yes, he does.
And they're not scared to walk in there. What's the worst going to happen? They're going to tell you no. A lot of guys get told no. And so I think those guys work at it and push themselves. And so if more guys would do it, I think they would be surprised at the results and the level of player they could come out of, because you want players from good programs who, like you say, practice the right way, are asked to do the right things day to day in the classroom and on the in the hallways of the school. And so if you find those guys and they've been in a good program, they're probably going to end up helping you a lot at the Division II level, the NAIA level. We just got to get a couple of those guys in our gyms.
And the other thing I want to say as well, man, I mean, people understand the Peach Belt is a really good D2 conference. You know what I'm saying? And people don't understand that.
For years, for a long time even before people knew I was a high school basketball coach, I ran a lot of junior college events, exposure events in the summer. I think Chris does them now, and Brad went. Well, Brad doesn't do it now, but Scott Golden, those guys do it now. And so, but I did that for a long time. And so I'm watching guys play. I'm going, golly, this kid's really good. Oh my God, where's he going? They're like, oh, he's at Augusta. He's at Clayton State.
Yeah.
And I'm going, Georgia Southwest. I'm like, God, this kid is really good. So what you realize is, there's a lot of really good players out there. And sometimes situations, circumstances put them at the D2 level. Well, I'll tell you right now, a high school kid running to the Peach Belt, it's not going to be what he thinks it's going to be by any stretch of imagination.
At all.
By any stretch. And so I think sometimes we give a bad rep sometimes to maybe Division II or NAIA, like, oh, that's a lesser league. It's not a lesser league. If you look up, man, there's a lot of these D2 schools and NAI schools that are in scrimmages and close scrimmages, they've beaten Division I schools.
It just doesn't get out that much.
Yeah, it doesn't get out as much, but that's happened. Trust me, that's happened on numerous occasions. And so I think sometimes the kids don't understand it, and they get there and they're like, whoa, this kid is really good. Like, he might be the best player I've ever played against, and he might have played with 2 or 3 Division I guys in high school. So the Peach Belt, the it used to be the Southern States. I can't remember what UAH plays in over there.
It's at the Gulf South.
Gulf South. So West Georgia. Those places, those teams are good.
Yes,
those teams are really good, and they play really good basketball. And so for all these guys who are like, oh, I'll just go D2. It's not going to be as easy as you think it's going to be.
You got the PSAC up in Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
You get the MIAA out in the Midwest. You got the Lone Star out in Texas.
Lone Star's always been really good.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And people like you say, you just said it best. Oh, I'm gonna go there and put up some numbers. No, you're not.
No, not at all. It's difficult. I just think that this is me, and that's just my opinion. I think a lot of times at whatever level we're at, we disrespect the next level by saying, oh, we can just go there. I tell my guys all the time, man, y'all stop being disrespectful to the NBA, talking about all these guys. Oh, he's gonna be in the NBA. Man, it's only 465 guys that play in the NBA in the world. So we're gonna stop just acting like, oh man, this guy, because he's a decent player, is gonna go to the NBA, or this guy's a decent high school player, is gonna be a high major player. I think too many times we just act like it's just rite of passage because you play sports. That's not true. And I think that's the same thing at the Division II level, NAI level. I saw you had Emory on before. Man, yes. Listen, these guys go to those games like, man, you ain't walking over to Emory and just walking on the court because you was a good high school player. It's not that simple.
They're preseason number 1 in the UAA, and they're 13th in the country for D3. That, it's so funny you mentioned that. Like, for our AAU program, we make it a point to take them to D3, NAIA games, D2 games, low D1. Then, we'll take them to Georgia State, we'll take them to Tech, and we'll take them to Morehouse and stuff. We want them to see all basketball. And another great example I'm going to give you is we just had Coach Alexander, who's the new coach at Clayton State, on. I'm going to tell you what blew my mind. I said, do you put guys, have you ever had a situation where you have guys that go overseas and play? He said, yeah, I put 21 guys overseas. 21, man.
Well, this is the thing. And this is the thing about, and again, I always tell my guys, just, man, let's not just keep being so laissez-faire about the next level. So guys like, well, if I don't make the NBA, I'll just go to Europe.
No,
it's not quite that simple. Yeah. I think the reason why sometimes these Division II guys end up playing well in Europe is because they have to have a love for basketball, because you're not on the charter flights. You're not on television every night. It's a grind. You may be on the bus. You may have to shower at the gym that you're at to get ready to go back, and you have to travel. It may be a little different, but I think that journey for a lot of those guys prepares them for the journey in Europe, because the European journey is not as sexy as everybody thinks it is. You're in some places and some countries trying to make a way, and it's not that easy. You're over there and you're walking to the gym, and you got a meal ticket like you're in the cafeteria. It's tough. Yeah. And so a lot of times we just like, oh, I'm just gonna go to Europe if this doesn't work out. And I'm like, man, some of y'all couldn't cut it in some of these places where you got to go cut your teeth to be able to make a name for yourself. So I'm very grounded when it comes to talking about the different levels of basketball, because it's very difficult, and basketball is played worldwide. Georgia's got great basketball, but it's 50 states here. They're playing basketball in Central America, South America. They're playing in Europe. They're playing in Africa. So there's a lot of guys trying to play this sport right now. And now that with technology, as we're here, on a Skype or Zoom, there's a lot of ways to get in contact with a lot of different people all over the world and find those players. And so we have to stop acting like we're the only people in the world in the state of Georgia playing basketball. There's people all over the world playing basketball.
And international basketball has gotten a lot better to where it's on America's level now, because you got guys that are playing in those quote unquote schools, those sports schools at like 14, 15, right? Then they're playing professionally by 16.
Mm-hmm. Well, Europe has a really good base of understanding if you're trying to build quote unquote a professional athlete, and we in the States have kind of got the old system where you're going to go to school and times are changing. But I think that the times are changing based upon the fact that model is not all the way off as far as trying to build kids that they think can be professionals.
Yeah.
You know, I have a cousin that's French, and you know, we sit in the summers and go over all of the different stuff that they do, and he's like, look, man, I've been doing this since I was 13 years old. You know, I go to school for 2-3 hours in the morning, and then I got team practice with my club. Then I go home in the afternoon, then I got practice again at night. So they're practicing, 2 times a day. And when he was a younger player, he was playing on the, on the junior part of the club where those kids were 17, 18 years old. He's 13, 14. And so he's getting the routine and the rigors and the work that you have to do. And so, and that's the other thing. When you go to Europe, man, guys think you just practicing 30 minutes and going home. Man, in Europe, you're practicing twice a day, maybe 3 times a day, depending on what country you're in.
Yeah. And like you said, it's a grind. And, some people get over there and find out, oh, this isn't for me. You know what I'm saying?
They realize they don't like basketball that much.
Exactly, man. Man, one of the last questions I have, and, I asked Coach White this as well, you basically have the cheat code because you've been on the other level. And again, watching your practice is different. When I see you guys run a practice, it's a college style practice because you're getting those kids ready for the next level. So what I'm going to ask is when you're doing your player development and, running your practices the way you run them, what do you think you need to do to get, especially of the talent you have, to get those kids ready for whatever level they're going to in college?
We videotape our stuff. Like we had a videotape session today, and we went back and watched video before practice. And so I asked the guys to, before we watched the video, I put all their names on the board and I said, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, 1 being the lowest, how hard do you think you're practicing right now? And so, and the guys have been going. I mean, I give them credit; they've been going. And so, guys are, Coach, I think I'm in a 9. I'm at an 8. Some guys thought they were at a 10. I said, okay. So I write all those numbers on the board, and then I put the film on it. And I don't put the film on of the scrimmage and all that. I put the film on of, hey man, look at you warming up, look at you stretching, look at your warm up drills, look at the pace you're doing. We got a thing we call Fast 15, which is 15 minutes of nonstop action, 3 different drills nonstop. I said, now look at your pace at 12 minutes in our 15 minutes of speed. And this, you're already going slow. And so one of the things I did is after we broke that down, I said, guys, man, y'all can't play as hard as you can for 3 minutes right now. And so one of the things I think that's helped us with our player development is showing them and hold them accountable for the rate at which they work on their game, in which they're working on their footwork, coming off of shots, with ball handling. Just because I think the biggest challenge that you have when you go to college is the speed of the game and the speed of the guys that you're practicing with every day. And if you can't do it at that speed, you can't do it there. And so, I've seen some really good guys that are good at player development, but it's too slow.
Yeah.
And so when it's that slow, you don't quite get. So what happens when it gets to going fast? Guys turn the ball over, they miss shots.
Because it doesn't assimilate to game time speed.
Right. And so we're big on like speed of play. Like that's a big thing we are with our player development. And so even tonight after we watched the video, we got on the floor tonight and about 40 minutes into practice, guys were dead. But I said, I stopped practice, said, man, great job. Man, coach, this is tough. Yeah, but you're now giving the speed at which you saw today wasn't good enough on video. And now you're going at the speed that would be good enough. And now you see why we got to push your conditioning to another level. So the speed of play and conditioning are 2 things that we harp on, as well as weights. We're big onto the weights. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I'm a guru basketball trainer or anything like that. I think I'm solid at it. I think I'm pretty good. But getting guys to go full speed, getting guys strong enough, and getting guys in great shape, those 3 things I do think we're really good at. And I think that's helped our player development with our guys. And I believe that over the years, if you go back and kind of follow my track record, I think that's kind of been one of the things I can hang my hat on, is that guys are in shape, guys are strong, and guys play with good tempo. And I think that's the key to kind of our player development.
And, you mentioned it already. You did something that I saw, I haven't seen too much. You filmed practice.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I saw, it was one of the first things I noticed when I came to the gym and I sat over there in the little corner, and I seen the guy walking around the camera. At first, I was like, what is he doing? And I was like, oh, shoot, he's filming practice. I was like, okay. And I knew automatically, I was like, okay, this is going to be different. Because sometimes I go to practice and it's your traditional practice. And I'm not knocking anybody when I say that. It's, let's throw the balls up. Let's go over plays. Let's do this. But when I see like different development stuff that translates to the next level, as you're saying. Like that, you can say, hey, look at how you're practicing. You're practicing at a slower pace that's not going to acclimate to the college, or shoot, when y'all playing some of these tournaments and some of those dudes that y'all going against, y'all got to be ready. You know what I'm saying? And with y'all playing that type of schedule, that conditioning is pertinent, and the effort, like you said, in their minds, they're thinking, oh, I'm giving a 10 effort. I'm giving a 9 effort. No, when you look on tape, it's really not.
Right.
10 effort.
Well, and it's twofold. It's what you just said is exactly right. Is one of the reasons why we film. But the other reasons why we film is if guys aren't getting it, I'm critical of myself as a coach. When I go in there and I break the film down, I'm like, oh, that's a garbage drill. You need to take that out. That's not helping them. They're not getting comfortable with that. You're not pushing them. And so I always tell the guys this: I'm critical of myself before I'm critical of them. So if there's something they're not getting or something's not going well, I always look at myself first. Well, the very first way you can evaluate yourself is going on video and saying, hey, Charlamagne, that's not good enough. Like that, you got to come up with something more creative or something, scale back on some different things to make sure that you're helping them. Because it's got to be on you if the guys are giving effort. If they're giving effort, then it's up to me to figure out how to put them in the best situation possible to continue to grow. And so I'm just as critical as I am on film of them. I'm just as critical of myself and our coaches. We're critical of each other of things that we could be doing better. And I think that's how you have to be, because as a head coach, I've been doing this for an extremely long time now. Sometimes we kind of get set in our ways, and sometimes you need to watch that video. You need one of your assistant coaches to be like, Coach, I ain't disagreeing with you, but there may be something else that could be better. Or or if I'm low energy, I tell my coach all the time, man, if I don't have that pop today, man, go on, hey coach, come on, man, we don't have it today. And that's why you do the video, because videos is confirmation. Yeah. We can have debates and we can go through. I was running fast. That was a good drill.
Video don't lie.
Video don't lie. It's confirmation. And so that's the greatest thing ever is you videotape that stuff. We can put I thought I was there. I tagged the roller. I fronted the post. I was there on early help. And I'm saying, no, you aren't. Well, the video is telling. So either I'm right and you're wrong, or you're wrong and I'm right. So one way we're gonna have a clear cut answer on how this is gonna go.
Absolutely. Hey man, it's some great stuff, man. I mean, even Blue, like I said, what's up, Blue, man? Blue's watching, and that's one of the other things I love about Georgia basketball, man. All you guys, y'all are fierce competitors, but at the end of the day, all you all, for the most part, rock with each other and support each other, man. And I think that's awesome right there. Like, George it was George that really put me on to how good you guys were. You know what I'm saying? And that speaks volumes. And Shep and Larry over at Wheeler, and it goes on and on. You got Blue and East Coweta. Like, we're blessed. And here's the crazy part about it. We have been pillaged this year by overtime, G League, prep schools. We've been pillaged, or we'd be even stronger. Think about it.
Well, yeah, you're right about that. Well, let me say this on two fronts. First of all, one of the reasons why I wanted to come back to Georgia when I left college is because I love the competition of these guys. I love the competitiveness of these guys. They're like you said, they're fierce competitors. They're very, very good basketball coaches. They keep you up on your stuff. You can't just walk in there blind. You got to be ready for them. They're scouting you, you're scouting them, and so it gives it some fun. It gives it like it's a fun thing to know. Hey, man, I got to go to Pebblebrook this week. Man, we got to go play East Coweta. Oh, we got Wheeler, we got Westlake, we got Milton, like it's fun. Like, it wouldn't be fun when you load up. You're like, this is gonna be 30. That's not fun. But I think that our competitiveness as a joint group of coaches in the state of Georgia has only helped the basketball grow, because you're pushing your players as well, and you're pushing whoever's in your gym. If a guy walks out of your gym, I've never heard, and I give all these guys credit because everybody's been pillaged. I've never heard guys complain about being pillaged. They say, hey, man, I got what I need. I'm gonna make this guy better. I'm gonna push this guy. Maybe we have to expedite a younger player earlier. But I give all these guys credit. And so I think that the Georgia basketball coaching community is firmly behind the growth of Georgia basketball over the last few years. You spent some great coaches who've been in Georgia. And what most of these guys will find out, and this is just the truth, is man, they're just as good basketball coaches. These guys are making millions of dollars on television.
Absolutely.
Just as good and maybe more detail. You know, sometimes you got a lot of guys on your team. You don't have to be as good. And so sometimes at the high school level, some of these guys are really good. I know Ron Jerser was in our gym the other night from UNCG, and he says, Coach, he said, man, I steal more stuff from high school coaches than I do even some of my colleagues, because you guys have got to be more creative and you got to be, very innovative in teaching. And so, I think it's a great thing. So I think that's why Georgia high school basketball is very, very competitive, is because guys are watching it, and then they don't mind saying, "Hey, man, so and so's got a good team," and I think that's what we appreciate. I tell coaches all of the time, "Hey, man, you need to go by here. We played them this summer. I've seen this kid play. This coach does a really good job. Hey, go see those guys over there." You just try to play it forward, man. You just try to play it forward, and hopefully that comes back to your guys at the end of the day.
I'll take it even further, man. I mean, you guys do a phenomenal job. But one of the things that pushed me into this as well, bro, some of this media is second to none, man. Like, we got media coverage. We got pretty much everything we need in Georgia. We got coaches, we got media. GHSA is pretty tough and fair. You know what I'm saying? So we have that going for us. We got AAUs out of this world. As you know, I mean, I can only imagine probably every AAU program is probably being in your gym already trying to get guys. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I mean, come on, man. You know what it is. They trying to get a Newton kid. We trying to get a Newton kid. Stop playing. Stop playing.
Yeah, it's good, but it's a great opportunity for the kids, because again, I think I might have said this earlier, man. I'm a firm believer that you need both of those platforms. I just am. Like, I just think that. And so me, I've always been supportive of AAU basketball. Even when I was in Morgan County years ago, with the Celtics, they had stuff going on with kids from out there. The Stampede had stuff going on, and so you're just supportive of that, because I don't, sometimes guys do get in their feelings a little bit about how things transpire, and I understand that, and I'm not here to go back and forth who's right or who's wrong with that. But I think that we have to find some common ground, because at the end of the day, we're blessed. Yeah, we're blessed with a lot of oil in this state, and so a lot of people want to come over here mining it. And I think as we continue to forge our relationships with our AAU coaches and our summer programs, I think we'll do a better job of holding on to our kids here in state, and we won't maybe lose as many of them if we kind of forge our forces together. I'm a little bit more, and that's on both sides. Everybody's got egos.
Absolutely.
And, it's
but
part of
those egos to the side, Coach. They got to put them to the side, because this is not about us. This is about the kid.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely it is.
At the end of the day, if I have one of your kids, I should have a solid relationship with you to say, hey, when we get him in February, what do you think he needs to work on?
Right.
And when you get him back in July, August, basically, when it's almost time for, fall league ball, hey, we worked on this. We see he's still a little behind on this. So as we give them back to you to get him to that next level, we're talking to you about game plan to make that kid college ready. I shouldn't be coming to you talking about, oh, Coach, we won 40 games. We won 35 games. That's nice. Are we competitive? Absolutely. Do we want to win? Absolutely. But to me, the biggest win, whether it's for us or for you, is to be able to throw that edit to say we got 100% placement of kids going to the next level.
Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, no matter if you're an AAU coach or a high school coach, and you sit down, or that mother or father calls you and they want to talk to you about their kid, the end goal that they have. And I always tell my guys the same thing, man, if your end goal changes, you need to let me know. But if your end goal is to be a college athlete, then we're going to need to work together and both work with you. I got you for at worst 185 days out of the year, because you go to my school. So I know I see you at least 185.
Yeah.
AAU coaches are going to see you, March, April, May, June. And March, April, May, and July. So that's another. So it's 365 days that we should have a plan that encompasses all 12 months of the year, and how we're going to go about it and how we work together. And so, and it takes a little bit for me. I like it, because at least I know my guys are getting work, and I can get a little bit of breather, because high school is a long season. There's a lot of stuff they ask you to do. And so if you can get, March, April, and May to get a little bit of time with your family, and to get a little bit of time to kind of recharge your battery and get ready in June, and your guys are playing against high level competition, they're coming back to you better. I think that's something that you have to embrace. And I think that's somebody having to offer the olive branch, somebody has to somewhat say, hey, I'm gonna be here and support you. And I try to go to all my guys play for a lot of different teams.
Yeah.
I try to go and I get my coaches, hey man, somebody's got to go watch him play this weekend. I don't care where he's playing at. Somebody from our staff has got to be there to watch him play, because I want that team to also know that we're supporting that kid as well.
Oh yeah.
As they go through it. And so we spend a lot of times on the weekends of getting out and seeing our guys play.
Man, hey man, good stuff, man. I mean, that's the reason why we was in the gym half the night the other day, man.
I ain't got a lot of hobbies, man. So if you guys want to talk basketball, I mean, I don't. It's not much that I do. Basketball, I get my daughters out on the soccer field, and that's about it.
Hey man, man. Number one, I appreciate you, man, for just embracing me and being so cordial to bring me in. And man, we just hit it off and got to talking. I was like, man, let me get out of here, man. It's almost 9:30, man. Let me get out of here. But man, like I said, I'm already going to be at a couple of your games this year, man. And like I said, the coaches have hit me when I mentioned that I was going to, Houston to see you guys play. They were like, oh, we'll be there. Let's hang out. Let's, tell me about these guys. Who's looking at them? What schools, this, that, and the other. And man, I speak highly about you guys, but I'm also proud to say I speak highly of Georgia basketball, man, because we got a great product, man. And with us having a great product, everybody wants a piece of it now. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And so that's what you see. Well, I appreciate you guys having me on. I appreciate you, bringing some recognition to the guys, especially some of the guys who aren't in the main light of the fanfare. Because we do have a good deep team, and we do have some guys that are going to get opportunities. So any Division II coaches out there, any NAIA coaches, our doors are wide open. So I hope the guys get out and get a chance to watch us play.
So for the coaches that are watching right now, Coach, how can they reach you?
You can look us up. Our Twitter handle is at Newton Rams Hoops. You can catch us on that. We got Instagram. It's the same handle. Okay. Man, listen, most guys got my phone number. If not, man, they could text you, get my number.
Yeah, no question.
Yeah, I'm a pretty open guy. If you text me, I'm gonna text you back. If you call, I'll call you back. I pretty much answer the phone if you call, because I do it for my guys. I try to get everybody in a situation. So we're easy to contact. We're easy to find. So if anybody's trying to get in contact with us, you can call any of the scouting service guys in Atlanta if you're looking for our number. We ain't hard to find, and we ain't going nowhere. If you want to just take a whim, 5:30 about 9 o'clock every night, you'll know
what and he ain't lying about that. You can find them there. Just go in the front. Don't go in the back. You'll be lost. Definitely. Hey, man, I appreciate you, man. Man, it's a pleasure having you on the show, man. Man, trust me, we're going to have you as a regular on here, man, because, you got a program that everybody talks about, and you're a good coach as well, man. So, as we can see, us talking basketball is nothing but a thing to us, man. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And also, good luck to all of the guys this season is there, in their first and second week of practice, and just good luck to all of the guys in Georgia, man. Everybody does a great job.
Definitely, man. You do a great job as well, man. We're going to wrap this up, man. And, man, I appreciate you for coming on the show, man. This show's been awesome to have you and Sharm on the same show. But I can have two Hall of Fame coaches on the show at the same time. Now I'm doing big things now, man. To get y'all both on the same show, man. But man, I want to thank you. I want to thank Sharm. I want to thank Coach Fleegle at Emory. Let me tell you something. Coach Berea knocked it out the park. If you ain't listening to her, man, I was like, shoot. I was like, she's an excellent coach, man, on the JUCO women's side, man. Mm-hmm. But definitely, man.
Thank you, guys, man. And, hey, we appreciate you. We appreciate all the writers and the scouting report guys who are helping, get these young guys out here and giving them a chance to try to live their dream, man. So we appreciate everybody who's involved.
Definitely, man. Man, we'll be in contact real soon, man. It was a pleasure, brother. I'm gonna be talking to you real soon, Coach.
Yes,
Gibbons,
sir. Right? Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, man. You take care. It was Coach Gibbons, man, from Newton High School. Man, if you guys get a chance, man, you can see him on the radar. If y'all feel like traveling, you can see them in Houston. But you'll be able to see them at a number of good events this year. You'll see them at Hard in the Paint as well. Again, this just confirms what I know and a number of people know. We have some really good basketball in Georgia. And, just listening to these guys talk, these are former college coaches that are high school coaches. So that lets you know they have the wherewithal to say, hey, I know how to get you there. And watching them practice is not just your average practice. It's a college level practice. So shouts out to all of them. Hey, Blue, man, I'm going to get you on the show too, brother. I can't wait to get you on there, man, because I love what East Coweta's doing as well, man. Hey, man, that wraps it up for this week. Man, shout out to all 4 coaches, man. Excellent job of, talking about your programs from high academic D3 to a women's JUCO that is knocking it out the park, and 2 high-level high school coaches. Man, hats off to both of you. I mean, Sean, I know what it is, bro. You killing it. I mean, and Coach Gibbons, you are well on your way of making Newton. I mean, they already were a good program and turning that into that traditional powerhouse, which they, in my opinion, already are. So that'll do it for this show. We have some good stuff for next week as well. So tune in next week, and that'll do it for episode 34. And we thank you guys for checking in. You guys take care.